run across the fucking parking lot.
Have you done any podcasts
Not
before?
lately,
But you know how to work a mic, really?
Not really. Usually done. You stick it in front of me.
Yeah, just like kind of face level. I don't know. You know, yeah, it's kind of common sense. Yeah,
Something like that.
sure. Yeah, angles really the best.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I see him all the time now. So I think this all should be going now, but it's kind of just working today.
I had a couple clients today, and then Nick canceled on me, so I got to go home early. But he canceled on me. I was flipping through TikTok videos. I got a text message, and I figured it was just my wife from work or something.
You didn't look at
I
it.
didn't look at it for like a half hour. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I'm not going to make it."
Was he already 15 minutes into the what would be the hour at that point?
It was like 5 to 2.
That's hilarious.
And I sat there for an hour because I had a break before him. So if I would have just checked.
What's today? Wednesday.
You're in tomorrow.
Yeah. So
My client before you just canceled, so if you want to come earlier, you can.
tomorrow 10.
You can come at 10 instead because my client before you canceled.
I'll look. Okay, I'll let you know. Yeah, I kind of want mine. So actually, what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, it doesn't matter too much. Oh, I'm sweating like crazy. Just because I fucking this kilo.
Huh?
Saw you running around the corner. I was like, "Who is that?" Because
I seen you wave at me, and then I seen you look back.
I was looking for your car,
Yeah.
and then I was like, "Oh no, I think that is."
Yeah.
Because you know what's funny? You look kind of like Zach.
Oh,
Like driving in the car. And I was like, I don't think that's one of his, but
he just messaged me. Man, I love your hair.
he wants. Yeah, kind of like exactly what I
I
thought it was
I like
him.
that flow. You gotta keep it going.
So you've been. I think you kind of mentioned that. How long have you not been like drinking or?
Super Bowl weekend. That's my last.
Oh, nice. For any particular reason, just for lifestyle.
I said I'm not gonna cut my hair till I lose 30 pounds.
Are you gonna keep going?
Once I get there, after I get to 30,
Yeah.
possibly.
Are you gonna try and keep it there? Are you gonna
Yeah.
like? Is it
Yeah.
like?
That's why I don't make a lot of videos, like talking, just because I want to be back more in shape before I start making more videos of myself online.
Did you before?
No, it wasn't really a thing when I was in shape. I haven't trained in 6 years. So
Because you can like you still post a lot of stuff. Like
I post videos and stuff like that, but it's usually of my clients. Like I'm in there holding pads.
yeah.
I want to do more instructional stuff. So.
Do you see your and that was never a thing before, really,
No,
right?
it's the thing now, but the people who are doing it aren't my level.
I saw your one of me today, actually.
Yeah, I reposted that one.
That's funny.
I added a little bit to it to check.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah. It's funny. I was just listening to on my way to pick up Tatum. Do you listen to many Joe Rogans?
I usually don't hear much.
Do you listen?
I hear clips of things just because I'm all over the place.
Do you know Josh Barnett?
Yeah.
He was just on there. And literally on my way out to pick her up on the drive, they were talking about like what constitutes a good coach. Cause like Josh Barnett is like, typically they're saying like, and I was like, I should bring this up with you. It's like, typically they're saying, you have to like start with someone at ground zero, very, very beginning, and then kind of like bring them to a world champion. And that was like, both of them just like agreed that was not kind of the parameters of like what a good coach is. Cause that's not necessarily like even the best way. And then they kind of went into it and like everything. And one of the things that are like sports psychologists new?
No.
It's always been there?
They've been around.
Have you ever like...
I've never seen this. When I was training in California with Boss Rutan, they had a person come in. It wasn't psychology more. It was more about how to control your...
Emotions?
Yeah, like how to bring on adrenaline, how to calm yourself down, things like closing your eyes, like almost meditating things.
Specifically for...
But it was a group. It wasn't just like a one-on-one therapy.
Yeah. So nothing specific. But was that like specifically for fighting related, like mindset?
Yeah, we'd get in the corner and you'd bite down your teeth and look over your eyebrows and try and get your adrenaline going and try and make yourself feel angry.
Really?
And then you try and like open your eyebrows up and open your eyes and smile.
Because that wouldn't...
Try and change your... to try and make you be able to... You only have 1 minute between rounds. So to try and make you be able to calm down in that 1 minute.
So it's specifically for like... Excuse me.
For fighting.
Between rounds, like trying to just manage yourself?
Yeah.
That's different than a sports psychologist, you think?
I think it would be. I think a psychologist would probably...
More like overall...
Like, your thought process, I'm guessing. More how you're thinking. Not much as more as your...
I guess, because I used to hear
more
like...
energy-based, right? Not thought-based.
Yeah, in particular, like pertaining to those specific moments around a fight.
Yeah. And I only had like 1 or 2 days with this person because it was like during a training camp. We just stopped in California for a couple of days.
Yeah. Do you think there's a better advantage to like having someone that talks about like more like a therapist, but makes you it kind of gauges everything
people,
to your like competitive goals?
Yeah, it depends on the person, what their issue is, I guess.
Yeah. So before anything else, what like I've obviously I probably couldn't just rhyme it off, but like, what's your career from like start to finish? Just to kind of preface everything to like give you probably the credit that credit is due.
Yeah, I was always a martial arts fanatic as a kid. Bruce Lee movies, that was my era.
Was your parents or anything like that?
No, my parents never played a single sport, either of them.
Really? Are you the youngest or oldest?
I have an older brother, and then I have a bunch of younger sisters, but my parents have been divorced and remarried and had sisters. So I have a huge family that way.
Older brother, did he get into?
He was into martial arts as well.
So you saw him do it, and then you're like,
he was like 6 years older than me and used to beat the crap out of me.
Yeah, okay, I remember you saying that. Yeah,
and he used to beat me up with the broomsticks and.
So when you started, did you start following his like interests naturally?
No, because I was from Dresden, which is a very like 2,600 people.
Yeah.
So we had zero accessibility for anything. We didn't have kickboxing gyms and boxing gyms and jiu-jitsu clubs, and jiu-jitsu wasn't even around at that time, right? So a taekwondo guy basically just rented out a town, like the community center.
And just did your own thing?
Twice a week and put on a taekwondo. So it was the only martial art I could get to in my town. So,
and like,
I went to that thing and literally I was able to spar with black belt by the time I was a yellow belt, basically.
Why?
I could just fight.
Okay. Not because of his like that weird like lucky.
I was just naturally good at fighting.
Were you out of by the time like the first time you realized that you had that like you could compete with people above you? Were you still in that same like small town like thing?
Yeah, but I was just able to do it. Just something naturally came to me. And then after that, one of my best friends at the time, we're still friends. He was in Taekwondo with me, and we got in a fight over a girl.
Yeah.
In grade 12. I just turned,
so you're like a man now.
I just turned 18, and he was that guy. And we're still friends today. He was that guy that when the soccer ball got kicked over to the girls' during practice, I'll get it, but he had to take his shirt off and hold his breath and flex his stomach all the way over there to get it.
Yeah.
So he was that guy that would just drive you nuts.
Yeah, for sure. The complete opposite of
he started
like
flirting with my girlfriend at the time, and she was kind of trouble a little bit. So she was telling me this stuff that he did. So I was like, and there was a group of us. So I was on every team in high school. And so
did you go to high school in
Dresden?
Okay.
Yeah. So I was on every team. Like I was even on the badminton team.
Yeah.
And so there's another group. They call us the posse. There were 6 guys that were basically every team. We called ourselves the posse, and everybody knew who we were.
Yeah.
And I had said, I'm going to punch him in the face. And you know how guys are. You won't do it.
Yeah, especially when you're 18.
You won't do it, right? And I just turned 18. And when I seen him in the cafeteria, so I finally started arguing with him a little bit about something, say some things to him. And I was just like, I'd never punched anybody outside of sport before.
Yeah.
So I just was like,
here you go.
Hey, I told you I could hit somebody. He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, fine. One smack, right?
That's hilarious.
So I ended up knocking him out and broke his jaw.
Well, it's not that funny.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, then I ended up getting arrested for assault causing bodily harm because I did it on school property.
Yeah, of course.
So,
we're in the cafeteria.
So then I got kicked out of Taekwondo.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to train anymore. But then I found a guy in Chatham who he was a black belt himself, and he would train kids in the park as long as they came to his house for Bible study after.
Really?
So I had to finish getting my black belt through him.
No way.
I trained in a park in Chatham and doing Bible study after with this guy. That's
pretty cool.
Training, yeah. So that's how I ended up getting through Taekwondo. But I wasn't allowed to compete at tournaments anymore. So then I got into kickboxing instead.
Did you compete in tournaments like from the time where you saw your brother in it and then
I started in Taekwondo, I was always
just competing the whole time? Were you like just winning the whole time?
Yeah, I'd usually get a trophy of some sort, but I got disqualified a lot for kicking guys in the balls.
Really?
Just by accident. It was just the habit front leg.
Was how many like when you're throughout high school? How many is it a year or a month or like a couple?
Yeah, you'd probably have like 6 or 7 a year, probably tournaments. It just depend on.
So then getting kicked. So going that route and getting your black belt through him, is it? You think like that's more beneficial from that point on in your career versus going like some weird or some traditional route?
Yeah, probably because I would have stayed traditional. I probably would have just stayed with Taekwondo and just kept doing Taekwondo. But because I couldn't really,
it kind of like forced your hand.
It forced me out. So then I got into boxing as well.
Were you like just like pissed all like you going into the next art stubborn?
No, I wasn't really, because it more suited me.
Yeah.
Like, my body style is not that long, lanky,
Yeah.
flexible guy. So once I started boxing a little bit more, it more suited my
There's
style.
a lot that you could carry over, or you're like 19.
Kickboxing was a little different because like, I can get punched in the head. In Taekwondo, you can't punch in the face. You can only punch the body with your rear hand. So you can't like jab.
Okay. Yeah.
So if your left leg is forward, you can only use a stick, punch with your right side. So it was really awkward to punch at all in Taekwondo. And Taekwondo was way cooler back in the 80s and 90s than it is today. Now it's Olympic sport. So now it's all about points.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now it's like a lot of like chest to chest and a lot of like
weird like
kicks and axe kicks and things like that. It's not as much. It was more violent.
Yeah. It's more strategic. It sounds like all about points. Yeah.
So,
however to get.
But it's helped me in my MMA career because I'm able to do a lot of spin moves and stuff like that a lot of people can't.
So how long before you felt like, was it the same thing? Did you know at that point that you were just, whatever you applied yourself to, you're going to be like a couple or a percentage better than the next guys?
I was bullheaded in everything I did. I wanted to be one of the best at everything I did.
Do you think you were naturally talented, or the bullheadedness just made you
more? I think I was a natural fighter.
Yeah.
I just think it was natural to me to fight. But I was always a nice guy. I never really got in fights until that was the first person I hit was my best friend.
Yeah.
And up to that point, I never really fought in high school.
So you weren't like, like just cranky kid going around looking for fights. Like some of those other guys, it's like, I just watched a fight with, or I just watched an interview with, what's his name? Chaos Covington.
Oh, cool.
And he was saying that like he was just scrapping all day in school and like, not all day, but
I always have a hard time believing that guy though, because you never know. Because
who knows? But
he
like,
put on such a show, he changed who he was, right?
You still get. I mean, just people in general. Like you could probably guess where like that guy came from a rough or like whatever.
Masvidal, I could see fighting
background and just like having a fight.
Diaz
and like
brothers, I could see fighting.
Yeah, stuff like that, and you just make it kind of like. Yeah. But then obviously there's a lot of guys.
I got a lot of fights in college.
Because there's probably a lot of fighters, obviously, too, that like have no interest and aren't like scrappy people outside of like their sport.
Yeah, the thing is most fighters are very nice guys.
Yeah.
I would say it's the people who I had a mom that I train her young boys, and she's talking about them getting in trouble, and I said the thing is people who can fight don't fight.
Yeah,
yeah. The guys who have something to prove or need to act like they're tough are the ones which cause problems. The guys
and just the self control and everything.
They have no reason to start a fight.
Yeah.
They don't.
So like 18 to early 20s, you were like taking on a new.
Yeah, that's when I was getting into boxing more and kickboxing at the time. Then I took a break.
Yeah, that's right. That came to me right now. You didn't get into like MMA until like pick back up later, 20s, right?
Yeah. So from like 20, basically from probably 19, 20 and
nothing.
26, 27, nothing.
So you kind of got like turned off a little after that.
Well, I just had nowhere to go. There was nothing around.
No like UFC at that point though either?
UFC had just came in. I think UFC started around the time I was 6 or 17. I was in Taekwondo, just getting right around the same time I punched my friend. It was the same time UFC started, basically.
So when you were not in, that gap in time, were you like still following? Like
I was following. I loved fighting.
UFC because UFC. You're right. UFC would have been new and the new thing. Would you're like
DirecTV back then,
and you were watching them all and still like very much part of like a fighting world.
Yeah, I was always into the UFC. Always wanted to watch it back then. But I was like Tank Abbott back then.
So when you watched that, were you like? Fuck, I could do that.
I could beat that guy.
I could beat it, but you were like, I want to do that?
Yeah.
The whole time?
Yeah, I always wanted, like my grade 12 yearbook, when people, they have, my grade 12 yearbook says, what are you going to be when you grow up? Mine just say professional fighter.
Really?
Yeah.
So what took you so long to like pull the trigger to like?
It's just where I was at. I didn't have access to anything.
Yeah.
Taekwondo and karate were the only things around. And then.
It was too hard to justify going somewhere to pursue it?
Yeah, I could box a little bit, but I never really got into competing boxing much. It was like an amateur fight once and that was it. And I wasn't even registered. It was just a club.
Yeah.
But I had a friend, and we were watching UFC one time, like a show on UFC on DirecTV. And they had a team back in the day called Miltich.
Okay.
Miltich Fighting Systems. And that's where Matt Hughes and Robbie Lawler and all those guys came from. And we were just watching this thing on DirecTV. And he's like, man, you need to do that. Why don't you do that? Because he had seen me like punch the bag and kick and do things and get in a couple fights at the bar. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, where are we going to do it? And then literally the next day, after we had that conversation, I was looking at the newspaper, and there was a picture of a guy who fought an MMA fight. And they put an article on him, and he had his little gym in Sarnia. His name was John Frazier. And it was literally like an old store there's like an abandoned store.
Yeah.
So I had a big bay glass window and everything, and it was like one bag in the gym and garage mats, like a really thin.
Yeah.
So I just showed up one day and met this little guy. And
At the time, was he using it all for himself pretty much?
yeah, he was a black belt in Aikido jiu-jitsu, which is like a Japanese style jiu-jitsu. So it's not as effective in real life combat as Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but it has a lot of similarities. So he was doing all right because he was a pretty good grappler naturally. So he started competing, and I already had some striking from boxing, kickboxing. So I went and trained with him and learned a triangle choke and an arm bar with my roommate. And then within like 2 weeks of me going back, I ended up becoming the striking coach there.
Really?
And we were just kind of learning off the internet. We would literally like.
So when was this? Like how old? Mid-20s now?
Yeah, it's late 20, 27 maybe. I think probably around 27.
Yeah.
So then I became like a striking coach there. Started teaching, but our coaching was very limited to. All right, let's try this move and do this. Or, all right, let's fight.
Yeah.
It was like we would just fight each other every day.
Was that the state of most things? Unless you're some like crazy high caliber fighter, like it
was to us because we didn't know any better.
Yeah, but even in the evolution of like at UFC, it was probably all relative to where everything else was at. Like, there's probably a reason why it was so hard to find a place to do it all.
Yeah, because back in the day, like that's why Hoist Gracie came in and whooped everybody.
Yeah, because he had something they didn't.
He was destroying everybody because nobody knew what the heck it was because there was nowhere to train it. So how do you fight something you've never been able to train in? So he was beating everybody because no one understood it. Then once people understood it, the wrestlers started winning because the wrestlers could kind of nullify the jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
They couldn't take them down. Then the strikers learned how to not get taken down. So then the strikers started beating everybody.
Yeah.
It's kind of been like a progression of.
And now it
became like everybody knows everything now.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was kind of like, okay, you know jiu-jitsu, you're going to win. The jiu-jitsu guys win. Then
did you ever entertain just doing straight up only boxing?
I thought about it. I actually had some guys that watched me spar and hit the bag and stuff like that down in Sarnia. And one guy knew somebody who was in with Mike Tyson back in the day, and he said I reminded him a lot of Mike Tyson.
Really?
So he wanted to hook me up with some guys from down the States.
And you were just not feeling it?
I got myself in a little bit of trouble back in the day.
Yeah. So that was like a kind of a limiting factor?
I just ended up disappearing and was just away from everything.
But even boxing inevitably, because what you did after the years following, you just weren't in, I don't know, boxing just wasn't all of it.
I just always liked kicking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay.
I always liked kicking.
Yeah, that makes sense. So then you're down there and kind of learning stuff from him and then being a coach there. And when
we just started competing, basically like amateur shows down the States, which you had to pay to fight back then.
Yeah, and that was all, give them money. How like Wild West was that?
You'd show up and they'd just weigh you in. You'd be like, okay, you weigh 205. Okay, this guy is 210. You guys are fighting.
Really?
It wasn't like
you just go.
It wasn't like what was your record? What's this guy's record? It was like, okay, you guys are close in weight. You're fighting.
That's probably as many options as you had, though.
You didn't have your opponent ahead of time. You didn't get your opponent until you got there and weighed in.
How many years were you doing, like, getting those kind of things going?
Not too long. I went pro pretty quick. Once I had a couple of amateurs, I went right.
Just luck, or you just like not luck? Like I mean, luck in like right place, right time, or is it like
because Canada didn't have amateur, basically?
Meaning you rose right to the top of whoever wanted to be pro, or like there was
basically. There was no amateur circuit in Canada.
Yeah.
I had to go to the States, and then you had to pay to go.
Yeah.
Right.
So
if I fight pro, I get paid.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, why not just fight pro? Because you're fighting the same level of guys, basically, because it's such a new thing.
So at that point, you could just jump into pro?
Yeah, as long as you
wanted to?
Yeah, basically. If you had a coach that could talk to a promoter and say he had a guy, then they'd say, okay.
Really?
And let's try him out.
So when was that first, like, what was the first pro fight?
My first pro fight was, I think it was called Cage Wars.
In the state? Oh, in Canada?
Yeah. That's the first time I was ever on a...
Oh, because they had pro shows here. Yes. They just didn't have amateur.
Yeah, so that was my first pro fight. I think I was 29.
Were you like, shit, finally I can just like stay home now? And like, not stay home, but
yeah,
do
that was
this
the first time I was ever on a flight in my life. I'd never been on a plane in my entire life. Until then.
That's hilarious.
I flew to Winnipeg.
Yeah, of all places. It's like probably haven't even been back since.
Yeah, I was back once more for another fight.
Did you win that? What was like?
I won quick.
What was your mindset going into it? Nothing, like the same as any...
I was nervous stuff, but that's when I came to the ring. So my ring song was kind of weird for what most people come to because I came to the ring to Rock and Robin.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
yeah.
Because when I was young at home, my sisters were little, I would dance around the house to Dick Clark's Top 25 and Tweedly Elite.
Yeah.
And I'd dance around with my little sisters, but it was always such a happy song. Every time it came on, we'd dance.
So I
was getting ready for my first pro fight. And I'm trying not to be nervous. And if I would have put on like some Megadeth or something like some other people do back in the day, I would have stressed me out.
For sure.
So I was like, what can make me not stressed out? So I put on I was nervous, and then Rockin' Robin came on. I just started dancing, and I was like, okay, this is
cool.
fine.
Yeah. Was it a big difference in just production?
Yeah.
Or was it
like,
still like from that amateur ones in the States to this one, or is it still pretty like?
It was different because Canada's athletic commission runs everything. So it's government run.
Okay, so
government oversees,
regulated and everything. Did you know? Did you know beforehand on that fight, or is that like a last minute?
I knew who I was fighting ahead of time. But at the time, I didn't know anything about it.
Were you?
You couldn't look it up back then, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like wasn't that big back then? You could. Not everybody didn't have their stuff. Nobody had Instagram posting videos of themselves. So you're just like, oh, this guy trains at that gym, and that gym's good at this.
Would you not that? Would you? Well, so did you? What fight were you on that? Were you like a beginning of the night type of thing, and then slowly work your way up?
No, I would have been I was on the main card, I think. Only reason I knew that is because when I made the video, and they took out my after fight speech because I was so out of breath and so nervous that when they asked me a question, it sounded like this, and everybody called me Mumbles after that. I really had to learn how to talk.
Yeah,
I used to talk. I still talk fast. But
how many?
I mumbled so bad no one could understand anything I said.
Especially if you're just like gas.
They actually took it off the DVD.
Oh yeah, DVD.
They took my speech. My
you got any? You have a collection of all those DVDs and stuff still?
I've lost most everything I ever had.
Really?
Yeah, I have no idea.
How many? So how'd that fight end?
I knocked him out in the first
quickly.
round. Yeah.
And then were you fighting once a month after that professionally, or?
I think I fought a professional kickboxing match after that. A week later.
Is it just because it's there? Let's do it.
I was working at Sterling Trucks, building transport trucks. I was on night shift, and my coach called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to fight kickboxing on Saturday in Minnesota?" And I was like, "How much?" He's like, $500. I was like, Canadian or US? He's like, US. I was like, okay, let's do it.
That's hilarious.
So I had to cut weight while at Sterling. So this is on like Wednesday night. So I had to start cutting weight at work in my coveralls. Yeah. And then basically the next day, sleep, go work, leave work, go straight to the airport, get on a plane and go to weigh in Thunder Bay and then drive across the border.
And that was
a professional kickboxing fight. And it was IKF. So IKF is old Van Damme movies, shiny pants.
Yeah.
So it was like the shiny pants. You can't kick below the waist. And I have never even sparred that, but I had Taekwondo background, so I was okay.
You could figure it out.
So I didn't even know what I was doing. I pulled up there and I pulled up my Muay Thai shorts. And she's like,
wrong outfit.
You're wearing this. They threw these shiny pants at me. So I was like, okay. Never even done this before. So now I'm in the ring. I get to the ring and I'm ready for my opponent. They start announcing my opponent and they say, rank number 7 in the world.
No way.
Looked at my coach. I'm like,
what'd you set me up for?
Fighting the guy who's ranked 7th in the world.
Yeah.
My first ever fight.
Do you need to be able to do that to like as far like roll with the punches? Yeah. Like no pun intended, but like you have to be able to.
Yeah, I beat him off. It was a 5-rounder, and I won the first 4. And I remember going into the 4th round. My coach said, "This is the last round." I'm like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah, this is the last round." So I went in there and I gave everything I had in the last round. And this guy, before I fought him, another guy from my gym, Nick Rondinelli, was a world champion kickboxer, and he had fought this guy before. And Nick was with me because Nick was the main event fighting for another world title. And Nick said, "Don't try and knock this guy out. You can't knock him out."
Yeah.
Like, you can't knock him out. You can't tell me I can't knock him out. I hit him.
Dare me.
Yeah. So I was unloading on this guy, and I hit him with some of the craziest haymakers ever. And he would just go,
eat them,
and come right back at me. So in the 4th round, I unloaded on this guy to the point of exhaustion. And my coach starts taking my gloves off in the corner. And the referee walks over and goes, "You quitting?"
So your coach was wrong.
The coach was wrong. The referee's like, "You quitting?" And he's like, "No, the fight's over." He said, "No, it's not. You're going to have one more round. If his gloves aren't
taped." You're
taped,
like, "I fucking told you."
He's like, "If his gloves aren't taped back up before the round starts, you're disqualified." So they was like, grab my gloves real quick and tape it back up. And now I'm getting exhausted. So I was just like, I'd throw one punch and run. But you have to throw 8 kicks or 7 or 8 kicks per round.
To just deem the round valid or whatever.
Or else you could lose points.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just like, throw a punch, throw a kick, run away. Throw a punch, throw a kick, run away. So I lost the last round, but I won the first 4. So I ended up winning the fight. And then I was ranked number 7th in the world for kickboxing in this type of kickboxing, but I only had the one fight.
That's funny. And then what after that? All that?
Then I just went strictly MMA after that.
And like, is it fighting pretty frequently? Like,
I really screwed myself because I've won my first pro fight, and then my second pro fight was in TKO. And before my UFC goal, TKO was my goal because TKO was the biggest show in Canada.
Did you have, was it like TKO then UFC, or
Yeah,
you didn't even think about
like
UFC until TKO?
Well, everyone thinks about UFC
Okay,
because
yeah.
UFC is like the NHL, right?
Yeah.
So I'd always thought about it, but I never, it's a big goal.
Yeah.
So my goal was to compete at TKO because I'd been to a show at TKO and it was a great production.
cool
it was like
that-
UFC production. They have your speech before the fight, and your little video, and your little highlight reels.
Are they still?
They're not around right now. They were previously around not about a year or so ago, but not since COVID hit.
Oh,
I don't
really?
know if they're going to come back or not. But TKO is where George St. Pierre came from, so he was on some of the fights that I go and watch. Right, so I finally got my fight on TKO, and I knocked the guy out in 3 seconds to break the world record.
That was
fastest
that
knockout
really
in my second fight. Well, now I can't fight in Ontario because MMA is illegal in Ontario at the time still. So no one wants to fight me. No one wants to fight me.
Is that
and
potentially harmful for your?
it's harder I couldn't get a fight now. I had a hard time getting fights because no one wants to fight the guy who knocks you out in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. And in order to get someone to fight me, the company A has to pay for me to come, and I'm not going to sell that many tickets because it's so far away from my home.
Yeah, it's hard for
And
sure.
for them, then they got to pay for someone to fight me. So it's not. A company doesn't want to.
So even just being at that point,
I screwed myself kind of at the same time.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard to look at.
So it's
like
hard for
that
me to find fights, and then I went on to win 5 fights in a row after that, knocking out everybody in basically the first round.
How hard? Like when you say it's hard to find fights, like is it like, oh, I'm not going to have a fight this month, or I'm not going to have a fight for another 6 months?
Yeah, for like 6 months at a time sometimes.
And then
it took me a long time to build up my record.
So those five fights after that in a row, winning, were they all big like camps and like you're starting to
Yeah, that's
feel
when I
like,
started having real camps. But at the same time, I wasn't fighting or often enough or getting paid enough. My 3 second knockout, I think I got paid $300.
wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
That fight. And then my next fight, I got 6. So they gave me a contract after that. I got a 5-fight deal or a 3-fight deal, and it went from like 300 to 600 to 900 to 1200.
So it wasn't even like a $30,000 thing.
No,
It was like,
I remember Mark Hominick and Sam Stout's first fight in UFC. They got paid $2,000 each, $2,000 and $2,000.
well, unfortunately, it's not very surprising, right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like, not that it's justified or anything, but that's kind of some of the dialogue, the main concern.
Then, right? But at the same time, I was working at Sterling Trucks.
So it's not like you can
I got to
quit.
leave. I got to take time off work to go for my fight. So it's actually costing me money to go and fight.
Was that like a no-brainer? Like as far as needing to take that like
you have to
X amount of time before the like
start from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah, yeah.
Work your way up.
It's all in. Even like, and was it at that time? Was it just like taking time off work, or you like, fuck, I'm gonna lose my job or anything? Like
I was
that?
lucky because the factory I worked at was a CAW union.
Yeah. So you could just
So
kind of
the union
like call
sponsored
it.
me.
Oh, cool.
So CAW would give me some money and cover some of my expenses, and get me off work.
Was that lucky, or is that like a program they have sometimes?
No, I was just
pitched it and they bought. They're like in.
Yeah, they're just happy to have me.
Yeah.
This guy's in our union.
Represent them.
These are
Yeah.
professional fighters in our union. So they had pictures of me, and I put their logo on my shorts.
So after that fight, did you go through all? It was a 5-fight deal on TKO. Did you go through all 5?
Yeah, I went through all TKO, and then I fought for the title.
And TKO.
Yeah, and then I blew my knee out 2 weeks before the fight. But I still fought anyway against Jesse Bongfeld.
Yeah.
I totally had my way from the first round. I don't even think he landed a shot on me.
Yeah.
And then my coach said, no more knees because he took you down twice by you taking knees. So what do? I come out and throw a jump knee right in the head. Right
Yeah.
and get taken down the ground. I throw him right in an arm bar, and he rolled out and blew my knee popped.
Oh.
So I just wanted to get to my feet to give it a kick.
Yeah.
And I had very limited jiu-jitsu at the time. I never really had a jiu-jitsu coach. I just kind of, we just kind of winged it.
Yeah.
So I rolled over to my knees to try and get to my feet real quick and kick my legs straight because I wanted to pop it kind of back in. And as soon as I rolled over, it got me to rear naked choke.
Oh, no way.
And I remember going, I'm going to get out. I'm not tapping because I didn't feel it. Like I was getting choked, but not like a pain choke.
Did you go out?
Yeah, I went to sleep. And I remember just opening my eyes.
So you never
and see-
tapped?
I never tapped, and I woke up and the referee's going, all right, don't move, don't
And
move.
you're
And I'm
like,
going,
fuck.
oh, fuck. You
Had you been choked out or knocked
nothing
out or anything
before,
like that
never
before
before,
that?
no.
How was that? You don't even remember? You
don't
just
remember
wake
it
up
really
and it's
at all.
like,
No, it's just when I watched the video, I kind of convulsed when I wake up.
did you wish you would have tapped?
No, because it didn't hurt.
I know. I'm just curious. It's like,
Yeah.
you look at people.
And he went to the UFC right after that, basically, like a couple fights later. He ended up going to the UFC.
Because that was for the championship or whatever, right? And then, so did you go to UFC after that?
No, then I got a phone call to try out for the Ultimate Fighter show
Okay.
for season 6.
From who?
Actually, I got an email.
Someone?
I got an email from Joe Silva.
Oh, yeah.
Who was the matchmaker for UFC.
Yeah.
And then he hooked me up with some lady from Spike TV. And she sent me all this stuff and had to make this video of
application videos.
Yeah, but they want me to show some characterism.
Yeah.
So I had to make a video that would stand out. So I made a video of this. I wish I had the video. I wish I could find it because it's ridiculous. So it was.
You think that? Yeah,
it was hilarious.
It'd be
So
hard
it was,
to track it down from them. But
I started off. The beginning of the video was an ultrasound of a baby, but the baby has boxing gloves on its hand, and as a narrator going, Chris was born with a rare disease where he had boxing gloves for hands.
That's hilarious.
So it showed me going through life as a kid, and it would show like pictures of me as a kid with gloves on. And it showed me growing up, and I was dressed up as a kid, trying to play baseball with boxing gloves on. So I was dropping the bat.
That's cool. No, that's
then I got to a point where I got jobs. So I was trying to be a plumber. I was at the sink, and I dropped the wrench, hit myself in the head. And my roommate was a mailman for Canada Post. So I put on his outfit. And I was trying to deliver mail, but I kept.
That seems like a pretty like unique video, like a good concept and stuff.
So then I was like, then he got sad, and it showed me like drinking. So I was drinking one night, and I passed out, and then the TV comes on. It was UFC, and I was like, I'm looking at my hands. Then I went through a highlight reel of all my fights, showing me all this stuff. And at one time, my wife was in nursing, so at the time she was my girlfriend.
Yeah,
we flew in this doctor from around the world. We had a paper airplane on a chopstick.
Man, I wish you had that. That would be hilarious.
Then we had a paper plane on a chopstick with the airplane sounds like across
That's
the world.
funny.
The globe.
Yeah.
My wife comes in and she has her doctor stuff on. And she's like, look at my hands. She's like, yep, he has fighter-titis or something like this.
And what? So how do you?
And then I ended up getting all my highlight reels, and then
That sounds like a win application.
yeah. So I got to the UFC, the show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so they were like, I dig it.
So I got to season 6, and every year they had 16 people on the show, but they'd always have 32 start, and those 32 would fight, and whoever won those 16 would go into the house.
Yeah.
For some reason, season 6 they changed that, and they did interviews with us privately, and I was like a job interview, so I was like so quiet and proper.
The opposite of probably your like the laugh of what they like got from the video.
They basically, I ended up didn't even make it on the show because I was like, I didn't have no personality.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand what was going on, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of blew that shot. But I got to go to Vegas for like over a week. But they locked me in my hotel room basically the whole time I was there.
Probably because you can't.
You didn't even get a key to your room.
Can't get anything out. You don't want to like tell anyone.
They put you in your hotel room and you don't get a key for it. So if you leave your room, you can't get back in. And if you don't get back, they catch you, then you're
off the show because they don't want to. Who's in town to be like on the series and stuff.
Yeah, you were supposed to talk to the people.
Who won that one?
I don't know who won that season. I don't remember now. It was season 6. I know Matt Hughes and Matt Sarah were the coaches that season, I think.
Cool. Then so you got into that, or like kind of got to there, and
then I went into the IFL, had a fight in the IFL, and then I kind of was in limbo because TKO had basically gone off. Yeah. I couldn't get a fight for a while again. And then I was just coaching people.
Did you have, I've been meaning to ask this, did you have relatively the same coach, like from the time you were like 20 to like when did?
No, I was self-taught with most of it.
Yeah.
Like just jumping around.
Whatever club you were at, you used those.
Then I moved to London when I was 29, I think. I moved to London and started training with Sean Tompkins which is Adrenaline.
Yeah.
With those guys over there. And
so have a lot of those guys been there since then as well?
Yeah, those guys were already all fighting in TKO when I came. And that's kind of the reason why I did it. That's why I kind of moved this way. Just so I could have actual like
friends that you could relate to.
People that were actually doing what I wanted to do, right? And so I got a job up here and I just packed up everything and came to London because it wasn't too far from my home still, but it was like I still had people who were competing in TKO.
Was that like the first time you were in a facility that like facilitated that kind of stuff, particular like other people?
I actually had a coach.
Yeah.
Like instead of me finding stuff on the internet and saying, hey, let's try this.
So those guys that were there, the guys that are there now, kind of were mostly there then?
I think Dominic was already the TKO champion by the time I even started.
So you guys like kind of...
Dominic won the title in his first fight.
Crazy.
He got brought in like a last-minute replacement.
And just took advantage of it.
The Canadian title, won the TKO title.
So you guys were all like active at the same time, and then
they were already Mark was already the champion at the time. I think when I came in, and I joined the team over there and started training with them. And I was probably with Sean. I'm trying to think, a couple years anyway before once Sam and Mark got into the UFC, Sean started training down in Vegas, so he left for Vegas. And I didn't really fight for a while, so I was kind of like this mediocre fighter.
You were still active at the gym though,
so I started coaching.
Yeah,
he left, and those guys they got to the UFC, so they left, and basically I was just there to teach. So I didn't really have anyone to coach me anymore, so I just started teaching. And that's when I went from here to here.
Really?
Over the years, it was. So that's where I'm different from most people. Most people are like high-level fighters who retire and then start teaching. Where I was a mediocre fighter who started teaching full-time and then became a world-class fighter.
Yeah.
By teaching.
So were they, when they were both active in the UFC?
Yeah,
and then,
so they would do their training camps and stuff down in Vegas.
And then when did you have an opportunity to jump in on that?
I didn't get to the UFC for years and years later. Like years later.
Just
like probably 5 years later.
Really?
Yeah.
What led that to happen?
Well, that was the thing, is I was out of competition for a couple of years basically, and I had some injuries and tore my ACL and all this stuff, and I was just coaching full time.
Yeah.
I was teaching sometimes 11 hours a day.
You were still with your wife, girlfriend throughout all that?
Yeah, we were together. We weren't married at the time.
Yeah, but you're okay. Yeah,
we didn't get married till right before I got in UFC.
So she's been with you since
all of my pro fights,
that?
except for my first one.
Is she? What's her?
Well, she's a second-degree black belt in karate, so she was always in.
Oh, okay, so she had that like background. She did that as a child and everything too. Oh, cool.
She's an emerge nurse, so
does
she's
she do
handy for all my injuries. So.
Yeah. Does she do anything now? Like, does she come and fuck around in classes or anything?
No, she's too busy at work and stuff like that. She odd time she'll play around. She can still punch.
Really?
It's really impressive to see her punch.
That'd be cool. Why you don't ever want to like
I've
hold
trained
the
her a few
bags
times, but she's like, don't tell me what to do. Stop yelling at me.
It's kind of. I have a question that I want to get to after about that relates to that. So how did it? Who?
So anyway, I took a break from fighting because I couldn't get a fight anyway, and I had no manager and I had no nothing. So I just started teaching all the time, and then to keep myself up to par in teaching, I had to be really more creative. And I had a couple clients that would question me all the time. Well, why are you telling me to do this, but you do that? That's not what you did. I tell them to do something. Well, you don't do that. Yeah. So I had to start looking at myself, and I realized what I actually do. Mm-hmm. So I stopped practicing what someone was telling me to do, and I started practicing what I do.
What you're telling people to do as well, yeah.
So then I started getting better and better and better at what I did, and then I had a fighter fighting in Ringside. So Ringside was the next biggest show in Canada.
I was going to ask that one more. I was like, through those coaching years, like, were you just coaching classes, or would you have a fighter that you'd work up to the show?
Yeah,
like,
both. So I had a guy named Jesse Gross, who was probably top 5 in Canada at one point.
Okay.
And I was his first ever coach. He came to the gym, and I taught class, and then he couldn't afford to pay me private lessons. So what I would do is I would bring him in when I was teaching other people.
Yeah.
So I would let him be like a training partner for someone who was paying me, right? Or like a grappling partner or a wrestling partner or a sparring partner or something. I'd always
teach
him at the same time.
You both just had a win-win out of that? Like you had you had a new experience, like kind of working with a fighter for a fight, and he but people at that point didn't really seek you out to train them for a fight.
Yeah, because I was still like considered a fighter.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just teaching classes every day and stuff like that, right? So I wasn't in training camps, nothing. I was just teaching. So my brain was getting better, but my body wasn't.
Was a lot of that stuff going on at Adrenaline at that time, where they're like people or fighters in big camps and stuff like that?
But they were all down because it was Mark, Sam, and Chris, the 3 owners of Adrenaline. They were always down in the States at the time.
Yeah.
They had their fights. Like Chris was in like Affliction, and he was in like the IFL Star, and Mark was in WEC. Sam was in UFC. So they were just gone a lot.
A lot, or like all the time, or are they back and forth?
They were back and forth, but they would be when they were gone. They'd be training camps for like 2 months at a time sometimes, and they'd come home, and then they'd be in. Especially Sam, he'd be in happy-go-lucky mode for a while.
They were just athletes at the gym at that time, right?
Yeah. They would teach some classes here and there, and then Jesse Gross, I got a fight in Ringside.
Okay, yeah.
Ringside was a big show at the time, and I was there, and the promoters knew me from fighting previously, and one of the guys from TKO was running the show. And they took a look at me, and I was way out of shape.
Yeah.
I hadn't been training. I'd just been teaching people. So my brain had been getting better, but I wasn't.
What's like way out of shape? Like, are you...
I fought at 170, so I'd walk around at like 210, 215.
Oh, okay, so you're respectively like out of shape.
Yeah, so I got a phone call after being at one of their events and them seeing me and be like, you still competing? I'm like, yeah, I'm still... Well, they offered me a title shot.
So you just was like, I can't say no, I'm not ready.
They offered me a title shot against Jonathan Goulet, who was like an idol of mine, and I looked up to, who was in the UFC, had like 9 or 10 fights in UFC. And I was like, well, this is my chance.
That was the attitude towards you. Like, there's no like, I'll say yes and figure it out after.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in. And I knew exactly why.
Were you
I
waiting
knew that they'd see me out of shape. I knew that they thought I was going to lose because it's a Quebec show. Jonathan's a Quebec guy. He's the UFC guy. They want him the champion. I knew they wanted me to lose. Right? So it gave me motivation.
Were you waiting for a moment like that, or like in that particular time in your life where you're like,
I didn't know what to do.
Were you trying hard to get an opportunity like that, or you're kind of like this? I don't know. Like
at the time I wasn't really, because I wasn't really competing much. I didn't really have anybody to fight. No shows were seeking me out. It was kind of, I didn't know, I was in limbo.
I'll just keep doing this for now.
I was managing fighters. I didn't. Kind of managing myself, which wasn't really helping.
So you're like, fuck it, yes, of course I'm in. I'll figure this out.
So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was just like, okay.
How long?
I'm not going to let this opportunity go by without me saying I tried 100%.
For sure.
So I busted my ass physical-wise to get myself in shape.
How long? Like, when was it? Like, are you in?
I had a good 12-week camp at least.
Okay.
I had a full camp for it, and I got myself in great shape, and I went there and knocked him out in the second round. So, and then I became the ringside title. So after that, I'm like, okay, I'm 30.
How much would you have got for something like that?
I think I got $4,000.
Okay, and not like okay, that's a lot, but like it's better than 400 or something.
2,000, I think.
Yeah, for knocking.
Then I'm like, okay, well, I'm the ringside title. That's a world title. I just knocked out a guy who's been in UFC for 9 or 10 fights. So now I have a chance to make a run for the UFC. So I said, I'm only fighting people who are in the UFC.
Yeah.
So I was like, I set my standard. I'm like, I need to get to the UFC. I'm already getting old. Like I'm already like 34.
Yeah.
So I need to fight people who have already been in the UFC, or to keep myself going.
Or if it means nothing, yeah.
Right? This is my chance. So my next fight, I didn't end up getting a guy who was in the UFC. I ended up getting a last minute guy in a show in my hometown, but they were going to pay me a lot of money. So,
yeah.
Okay, so it's over double what I've ever been paid before. So I went in and fought Caleb Grummett, I think is his name. I had to go up a weight class to fight him, and I show up and he's about your size. I'm going, holy crap. So I ended up beating him too in the first round. I mean, first or second round, he quit. He was a bloody mess, but I was like, okay, I beat him. And I was like, okay, give me something else in the UFC. And then Professional Fighting Series or Professional Fighting something came along. PF, Professional Fighting Championships.
Yeah.
They were putting on a show in Windsor, and they wanted me because I had the ringside title off the West Coast area, and off the East Coast. And the West Coast was Travis Briere had the unified title. So they're like, we want to try and get a unified Canadian title. Mm-hmm. This is a Professional Fighting Championship, so I want the champion from the West Coast to fight the champion from the East Coast. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, okay, he's not UFC either, but
it's justified.
He has a title. Mm-hmm. And he's undefeated. I think he's 11-0.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's do that. So I ended up beating him with a spinning back kick in the second round. And then again, I go on the mic and I said, I want UFC guys, right?
Yeah.
So then they finally offered me a couple fights in different organizations, and they kept with UFC guys, and stuff just kept falling through. And then
like the fight got canceled or something for some reason,
or something. And then Score Fighting Series started a show, and they were actually big because they're on the Score
TV. Yeah,
they had a lot of money, so they were able to get me. It was supposed to be a different guy who was in the UFC, and then it fell through last minute, and Rich Clemente came in.
Yeah,
and Rich Clemente I think he had like 65 fights. He had 10 fights in the UFC. He actually beat Rumble Johnson in the UFC.
Yeah.
He had a win over Sam Stout at my gym in the UFC. And he was going to come up weight class to fight me because he just got cut from the UFC, so he didn't want to cut down to 155 anymore. He just wanted to fight at 170. So I was like, okay, let's fight Rich Clemente. And he took me down for the first 2 rounds. I grappled with him, but he won the first 2 rounds.
Is that just something that's given? It's like
But I knew I had to beat him. That was the most nervous I'd ever been in my life because I was like, if I lose this fight,
pre-fight,
if I lose this, my UFC chances are over.
Does any of that enter the cage?
It did. It does. Yeah, because you're hesitant to make a mistake.
Really? Even in the moment, you're still like, and that's still in the back of your mind.
And then you stop. But at first, you get in there and you're very like hesitant. But once you get hit a couple times, everything else goes out the window. Yeah. Right. But he just kept wrestling me and taking me down, and we'd grapple, and it was more like a scramble after scramble after scramble. Nothing really happening, but he was squeaking out the rounds, I think, by control. Yeah. And then we got into the third round, and I threw a punch, and I missed him, and he was standing lefty, and when I came around, I missed. So I just came backwards with a back fist that I've never done in my entire life. And boom.
Knocked him out?
Dropped him on the ground, and jumped on. That's why the scar on my face is from.
From what?
Him. So I dropped him, and I started ground and pounding him. And I knew I was down, so I knew I had to finish him, but I was exhausted. It was the third round, and he up-kicked me, and the heel hit me. That's a heel, that little roundness.
It just happened, but it didn't obviously knock you out.
No, it just got me back. And then I was like,
instantly.
This is the only thing I never wanted in my career. I never wanted a scar on my face, right?
Yeah.
I didn't care about broken legs and stuff like that.
But is it just rip open?
Yeah,
or is it like
it was just ripped. It was a big cut.
Yeah.
So I just started ground and pounding him basically until the referee broke it up and stopped it.
Cool.
And then I got the phone. Then every other day I was getting a manager to call me.
Really?
They were calling me nonstop. Hey,
did you have a manager at that point or not really? So they just
like, hey, I think we can get you in the UFC. I think I can get you in the UFC. I think you sign with me. I'll get you in the UFC. And I just said, get me in the UFC and then I'll sign. Right?
Is that surprising?
It was because.
Or were you like looking at your phone, like I'm waiting for these calls, and they kept coming? Where you're like, okay, continue on with like my never-ending battle.
I wasn't thinking about it. It was what I wanted, right? But they kept saying, "I can get you. I can. I said, do it, and then I'll sign with you."
Was it a shock? Like, were you like, I'm surprised this is happening? Or are you like jumping out?
I knew I was due. I had just knocked out. I was on like a 5-fight win streak. Every win I had was by knockout. Every single
you knew it was coming.
Knockout. And 2 of the guys I knocked out were in the UFC, and one of them had only been finished once. So I was the second person ever to knock him out.
So who was the first one to get you in? Or like how that just pulled through and was like, this was your fight?
One guy just pulled through and said, hey, are you ready?
So does that...
I was on the treadmill. I was right beside Mark Homburg. I'll never forget it. I was at the treadmill, just going for a run because I had just got signed to fight in a different organization.
Yeah.
And that's why I was turning down these managers, because I was like, why am I going to pay you when I can just keep the money for myself, because I can just manage myself now, right? Unless you can get me in the UFC, because I can't do that myself. So I got a phone call from a guy, and I was I just remember grabbing the treadmill and going, looking at Mark.
Saying what? Like, what was the call? Like, hey, I can. Hey, this is the fight.
I got you in. You're fighting this day in the UFC. Like, call me, give me an opponent, give me a date and everything.
How long was the fight?
I went home and told my wife, and I bawled my eyes out when I told her. I couldn't even tell her without crying.
And like happiness?
Oh yeah. I cried calling my mom. I cried calling my dad.
Yeah, so it was substantial.
Yeah, because I put a lot of years into this, right? And I was 35 years old.
Was it like at that point? Yeah. Box checked.
Yeah, because I had became a father.
Oh yeah,
I was just about to become a father. My wife was pregnant.
Really?
Just got married.
Look at it. Gives me goosebumps thinking like that's the timing of it.
Born in March, and my fight was in April.
No way.
Yeah, but I got the phone call in December or in January or December.
When was the fight? Where was
I had a good camp. I had 3 months. It was in Atlanta.
So did they go?
Georgia. So then that's what happened though, because the fight was supposed to be in Montreal, and they canceled the show, and they moved the show to Atlanta a couple weeks later. So I got an extra long camp. Great, give me more time to get in shape for my UFC.
Yeah.
But because I punched my friend in the head in high school, I got that criminal record. I got banned they banned me from going to the States. But now my fight's in the States. So I spent probably $3,000 on legal fees and stuff to get across the border. And really, I didn't have to spend any of that money. All that ended up happening was I went to the border, met the chief at the border, who was an MMA fan, and gave me a border parole for nothing. So I wasted like $3,000.
Could you imagine though if that was like you had to pull out or something? Like if you had a manager at that point, he just like convinced.
I got my fight in UFC and I can't do it because I punched one of my best friends in the face in high school.
Imagine. Did your wife and daughter?
No, my wife came. We had our daughter was like a month old. She went and stayed with my mother-in-law, and my wife flew down.
Oh, cool.
The day before the fight. So,
and then
my coaches drove down to Atlanta, Georgia.
Crazy. How was that like whole experience?
Oh, it was amazing.
Being like, what were you looking forward to most? Like being in the UFC, like was it just saying it? Was it the different like
I know I did it. To know I accomplished it.
Was it just simply that, and then everything else was like because the production and like even how they take care of you.
You're seeing people you're fans of. These are all people I watched on TV.
Yeah,
I'm in a room with them.
Yeah,
right. Well, there's Dana White,
and you could just like soak it all in, or was it all like? Could you even soak it in? My
fight. If you watch my first fight, when I get to the cage, the Bud Light symbol was there. I went and laid down. I got in the cage. I walked around in circles, and I laid down in the Bud Light symbol. I put my hands behind my head, and I crossed my legs, and I laid there.
Just because you wanted to do it?
My name was going across in lights, crossing the stadium up top, and I was like, "Yep, this is pretty cool. I made it."
Would you have even cared how the fight went at that point? Like,
I wanted to win. I wanted my first win, but after that, that's what happened. Is because that was such a goal for me, and I was 36 years old now by the time I fought. I was 36. My first fight in UFC. Most people are retired by then.
Yeah.
Right? So I got my win, and then my career took a downfall after that because I didn't care anymore.
Yeah,
I had already accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish, and then it was kind of just having fun.
Would you change anything about that? Like, I
would, but my wife got pregnant again, so now I have 2 young kids at home. So in order for me to have a camp, I'm the biggest guy at my gym.
Yeah,
I have no one really to push me. So in order for me to get further in my career, I would have to leave. So now I'm at a crossroads where when your kids are young, you only have that once.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Like,
you can't miss those
absolutely
first 3 to 4 years of their life.
Yeah.
Right? So if I'm going to leave for 3 months at a time, or I take my career.
Was that something you were conscious of making that decision, or you
I chose it. I was like, I'm going to
stay with my family.
Stay with my family. Train myself. I had Leo Lugs to help hold me some pads for me, get my hands going, keep me tighter. I had Andrew Elliott to help me.
Did your training?
But I had no like big gym frauds for hobby. Like had like these big coaches. I didn't have anything like that. I just had a couple of people who I was close to, and that's who helped me get to the UFC. So why would I abandon what got me there? Right?
Yeah.
It was more my mindset. It wasn't the win. It was just I never went in there like George St. Pierre is famous for having game plans.
Yeah.
My game plan was I'm going to knock you out or I'm going to lose trying.
Was it like that,
That was it.
in all the previous fights in
Pretty much, yeah.
all the other ones too?
I never tried to win a fight. I just tried to knock people out.
Did your training or mindset change to maybe like less serious after that?
I think I trained harder. I trained harder but fought carelessly.
Yeah.
I just and it wasn't because I didn't.
Was it like spectacle purposes?
Yeah,
like you wanted to like
put on a show,
live up to what you've been doing basically more than ever?
I wanted to put on a show. I wanted people to want to watch me fight. Whether I won or lost, I want people to think I was excited.
But that's how you ended most of your fights already. Do you think that if you like wouldn't have gone carelessly more, if you would have more cautiously, but whatever, if you would have fought the exact same way you had been fighting versus like, I'm going to throw more of these, like switching it up to please like that, would you have, because by default, by previous fights, that your fights end in like cool, spectacular, unique ways.
I knock you out or I lose. That's the way it's gonna go.
Yeah,
right? Pretty much. But I ended up winning a decision. My first fight in UFC was the first decision win I ever had.
Go figure.
And that guy, I never hit anybody in my life the way I hit that guy. I hit that guy with everything. Actually, I did knock him out at one point, I think, with the back elbow. But I hit him again with the elbow, woke him back up, and we were on the ground.
Is that just a different caliber of athletes? Or just that one particular guy?
I don't understand it. Like, he had a huge record, and he'd fought a lot of tough guys, and I don't know if he'd ever been finished really by knockout.
Any, like, cool... What number was that?
For my fights, I think that was my 12.
No, UFC.
Oh, UFC 145.
Oh, wow. So it's not like it's, like, 45. I mean, I guess time-wise...
John Jones, Rashad Evans was the main event. So,
oh, no way.
So it was pretty cool. Back then, too, it was on... My fight was on Facebook.
Really?
I didn't have Fight Pass.
Or anything,
So I was the very first fight of the night, or the second fight of the night before the show actually officially started.
Yeah.
So I'm fighting in this giant arena, but it was almost empty.
Did you go, did you watch did you get to enjoy the rest of the night?
Well, from my change room. The thing is, you go from being the big, big fish in the small,
on your own accord?
Small pond, right? You go from being the big fish in the small pond to being the small fish in the big pond type thing. So I was used to being the main event.
Yeah.
At every show, like for the last couple of fights that I had, I was usually the main event. Like the last 4 or 5 fights, and then I go to being on the prelims. So after I was done, it was usually time to leave.
Yeah.
Right? Because that'd be the last fight. And now I'm working on the first fights, and
but you won. Were you like?
But the UFC keeps a leash on you, kind of. After.
Really? I guess
because they said that they told me it was because I was in the States and I just beat up an American. That they didn't want me going on the crowd.
I guess maybe at that point UFC was a little bit more wild. Yeah. Like everything was a little less tight at that point.
I had to get security. I had to ask special permission and get security to escort me out where the fighters walk just to give my wife a hug.
It'd be honestly like that would probably feel cool in a weird way too. Like
I had to stay in my change room all night.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you party after or anything like that?
Yeah. I think I stayed up almost all night after. Yeah.
That's funny. And then came back.
It's so cool after you win, right? Because
you're the man.
Yeah, you're on top of the world, and then you're out. But now I'm with people I watch on TV.
Yeah.
So I'm out having a beer and stuff like that with Rashad Evans.
Did you was it like were you bumping shoulders with them that weekend and or night?
Yeah. And they've some of them have seen my fight and they're like, congratulations type thing. So
cool.
And they know who you are a little bit. So
yeah.
That part was cool.
And then what after that?
And then I got injured, tore my 2 rotator cuffs. My
training.
Yeah, doing a snatch up really high. I felt a little pop, but I tried to keep going. And so I tore my bicep tendon off, my 2 rotator cuffs, my supraspinatus, my infraspinatus, and my labrum.
Oh, God.
And then I got a phone call to fight on a pay-per-view.
And you're like, yeah, a pay-per-view too.
On a pay-per-view with my shoulder injured.
Did you?
So I said, okay.
Of course.
I was like, what are you doing? I'm like,
I mean, what are you going to say? No.
It's a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight a pay-per-view. I was like, If I can walk in the cage, I can fight when I get there.
That's like probably mentality for 99% of fighters.
But a lot of guys pulled out on that card. It was like crazy. It's like, what are you guys? How are these people pulling off this card? So many people say they called it the cursed card.
Yeah,
people were pulling out left, right, and center. And then I had my opponent switched on me. He got injured, and I had to fight a different guy.
Yeah, so it was all
he Matt Riddle. He's actually in the WWE now. I just watched him in the Royal Rumble. So he was my opponent, and super good guy. He was like, but he bamboozled me, I would say, because we cut weight together. He's a really good guy. I never met him before, and we hung out quite a bit actually before the fight. We talked, and we swam. We went swimming in the pool together. We're hanging out. He was like, "Man, I'm so excited for our fight. We're gonna fight tonight for sure. You're not gonna take me down. I'm not gonna take you down." We go in there. He takes me down.
You think that was on purpose?
I'm like, "Dude, what are you doing?" He's like, "Sorry, man. I think he said, I got 3 kids to feed." I was like, "You son of a bitch."
Yeah.
So he kept wrestling me the whole time. Then he just lied to me, and he was like, "I'm sorry, man." We had fun though.
Yeah.
I elbowed him in the face one time. He was like, "Oh man, that really hurt."
No,
like, I'm gonna give you another one. You know, let me up.
That's funny.
At the end, we had a really good fight. We were probably going to win fight of the night. And I don't even know who was winning at this point. Probably him from takedowns, but I wasn't quite sure. Had him up against the fence. There's probably a minute or two to go. And I'm like, "Fuck, are you ready to win fight of the night or what?" He's like, "Yeah, let's fucking do it." So I let him off the fence and we squared off and we just started to slug it out. And I threw a spinning back fist and I threw myself right into a choke.
Oh, fuck.
With my bad shoulder.
Yeah.
So it was my bad shoulder. I spun backwards right over his shoulder. And he kind of closed his eyes and he goes,
"Here you are."
Oh. I threw myself right into it. So I ended up losing that one by submission.
Crazy.
And I got it on my pay-per-view. And I remember watching that one. I remember going to my corner because all the lights and stuff as he was walking to the ring. I was like, "This is fucking cool." Eh?
Yeah, for sure. Like,
he's like, "Yeah, it's really cool."
No one would get to like experience that,
so
really, right?
It was like one of the coolest experiences of my life being on that pay-per-view. So
I can imagine. Well, I can't imagine.
And after that, I was just like,
I won.
That's all my goals. Is all I wanted to do, right?
Yeah. So then, did you start like? When did you pick up like coaching as like or like?
I was training
always.
I was 100% a full-time trainer, always.
Did you know
part-time? Even in the UFC, I was a part-time fighter.
Did you know that you were like a better than average coach always because of like that's because you always coached or trained or like was a trainer?
No, I didn't think I was that.
Like, did you have anything that like?
I was good at teaching naturally, I think, because I'm really good with people.
Yeah.
I can understand different people's personalities and how, because different people learn different, right? So I was good at reading people to see if they were catching on or understanding that type of thing. But I didn't quite understand techniques and things at the time to where I understand them now, to where they start. And I think that's what.
So did you really like start to absorb all that as the more you teach, the more you could learn like yourself?
So right before I got that title fight with Goulet, I had fought Mark Blackburn. And I went up a weight class to fight him, and I knocked him out. I remember because I was off for a long time. I was having a hard time getting fights. I've been injured lots of times.
Hold on. So UFC, was it just like per one fight at a time?
No, I had a 3-fight contract, and then after my second fight, they renewed.
So
then they renewed.
Do they give you any signing bonus for like 3 fights, or it's just like fight
no, there's
one?
no signing bonus at all, but
anything like
they used to give you bonuses after your fight.
Yeah.
So if you put on a good show, like they had the fight night bonuses, but they just secretly send you a check.
But it's not like if you have a 3-fight contract, you got like 50, a 10, 50, or 100 grand check right then and there. Like you had to make it to the fight,
so you get
and
a
then
fight.
go.
It's like, so my first fight was 8-8, I think.
Is it still like
6-6. So it was, I think, yeah. So you get a contract that says your first fight is 6-6. So this is for me. Now it's probably like 15-15. So it's like, okay, if you win, you get your
then
it goes up by 2,000.
Yeah.
If you lose, it stays the same price for the next fight. And win that next fight, then it goes. So it's like a tiered thing.
Yeah.
And you could go up. And then at the point you get to renegotiate.
So at that point, before we go to the whole coaching aspect, was that like fair?
It was paying more than anywhere else was. So you couldn't argue with it.
But was it still like in the sense of what, like that's still probably, I guess,
is the hard part
30, like is that enough to make a living at that point?
It's not. No, definitely not.
Like, are you getting?
That's why I went crazy when I fought. That's why I was always trying to knock the guy out, because all I wanted to do was win a knockout bonus or a fight night bonus.
Sure.
I wasn't trying to win the fight. And trying to knock the guy out and win a bonus.
How many of the guys like you were fighting or you like had outside sponsorships as well? Like
it was good before Reebok came along, and that's where I got screwed over, is because my first fight was, I didn't make a whole lot because I was the very first guy in the undercard. No one's going to see me, so I made a couple grand. Mm-hmm. And my second fight, I think I made around 10,000. So I was making more off my sponsor than I was fighting. And then my third fight, I think I got like 17,000. I got paid 10. I was supposed to get 10 and 10.
So who's giving you the 17? Who's your sponsor? Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
And then Reebok comes along and announces they're coming over and taking over all the sponsorships and all the companies. Because in order for you to say Showtime wants to sponsor the logo on somebody in the UFC, you would have to pay the UFC like $100-something or whatever for a year to have the opportunity
to pay you. Yeah.
Then you got to pay the fighters on top. And then Reebok comes along and takes over. As UFC says, okay, no more everybody, you're all done. So everybody's kind of like, well, screw you too. I'm not. Why am I going to give this guy money right now, right? Yeah. So I went from getting 17,000 down to like 500.
So they couldn't do anything. Like, was it like hindsight's 2020? Was that? Did they know? Did everyone know that was going to happen?
Yeah, because your Reebok was going to sponsor us instead.
Okay.
But instead of me getting like, some guys are getting close to $100,000 for some sponsors probably.
Whatever.
Now you're getting basically paid
some weird salary.
If you had 5 fights in UFC, you get $5,000 basically. If you had anywhere from 10 fights and under, you get 10,000.
Is it still UFC or Reebok?
Venom just took over now. I don't know their tier structure, but it's probably not much different than Reebok.
Just so they could have control over that. Like obviously Reebok's still paying them.
I like the uniforms. I like that the UFC did that.
Yeah.
Like for a visual as a fan, I think it looks better and cleaner and more
versus having just like whatever Showtime and anything strip clubs sponsoring you and stuff like that. Yeah.
So I like that aspect of it. I understand their point, and they were getting paid handsomely as well, right?
Yeah.
Then they get their clothing line, so it was a win for them.
Yeah.
But as a fighter coming through that error, I got really screwed.
Yeah.
Like massively.
That first group or like that first.
I was getting paid more for sponsors than I was for my fights. And then all of a sudden that was gone. Yeah. Right. So then I was just like, what do I do now?
Yeah. So
try and get a bonus.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I guess.
Especially when I had to fight in like Australia. It's an expensive place to go.
It's almost not even
the
worth
UFC pays
going.
You to fly and they pay for one of your cornermen to go. And then you had to like kind of help they had another cornerman come, and then you got hotel rooms and stuff like that for your cornerman as well. That stuff can add up. I think
Yeah.
And then
and that's just doing the bare minimum.
Fighting in the States and fighting in Australia was even worse in the States. I think they took 33% of my check. So I got paid 20,000 because I won in Australia, and I got a check for 3,400.
So that was before, yeah. So like
13.4 thousand.
None of those guys had adrenaline on their shorts or anything like that, really. Maybe we
were allowed
to have your gym,
certain things like that. Yes, you had to.
But you still weren't.
You had to give before you're like at weigh-ins. You have to give them your shorts and your banners.
It's also not like those guys are necessarily like sponsoring you either. That's just like you're doing you're
still allowed that stuff at the time. But that was before Reebok came in.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
After Reebok came in, there was no gyms. There's nothing like that. Yeah. So I didn't fight with the Reebok uniform. I was done. My last fight was like the last pay-per-view before Reebok came in, actually.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to do all that. But at the time, they like adrenaline wouldn't have to pay the UFC for the name on the shorts, but like companies would have to.
Yeah.
So they always inspected your shorts, inspected your banners and stuff like that before you fight.
Yeah, I get that too. Like you were saying, it's like for sure there's
you'd basically make a deal with the company and say, okay, Showtime, okay, you're going to sponsor me and you can have this. It's like real estate, okay? You can have the butt.
Whoever pays for the most expensive.
Or a T-shirt is a little bit more because it's a walkout or a hat, right? So I could auction off different spots to the shorts.
Yeah.
And Reebok comes along and it's all gone.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be like you get a big company that wants worth the advertising. You make more than a full year's salary.
And whatever you have left, and you throw your gym logo there.
Yeah. Because it's like that's your home, anyways.
Yeah.
So coaching then, like you were starting to evolve like faster as your own abilities as you started teaching more and like problem solving for other people in turn?
So I knocked out that guy, Mark Blackburn. So I was off for a long time and I had been training and I wanted to come in and put on and he had won 2 fights. I didn't know much about him. He came in short notice. I had to go up a weight class to fight him. And he had 2 fights and they were both knockouts with head kicks in less than a minute. So he must be a kickboxer. Mm-hmm. Little do I know he's a judo black belt. So I go in and expecting to put on this kickboxing. I was like, okay, I'm going to put on a clean kickboxing clinic. I'm going to throw clean techniques and straight punches. And he takes me down. We wrestle around the ground. I end up getting back to my feet. And I remember looking at him. He literally closed his eyes and just started wailing at me like a crazy man. And I was trying to get away from him so I could just circle off and do. And he was just like spazzing almost at me, all like falling at me.
Yeah.
And I remember just going like angry for a split second. I just remember I grabbed him and I hit him with a knee and then a liver shot and an overhand, just bang, 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 and knocked him out real quick. And I was like, how the hell did I just knock him out?
Yeah.
I've never done that combination before.
Yeah.
I've never thrown that combination before. And then I went over the combination and I started feeling how my body moved and how I created so much momentum. So I call it tick-tocking, basically.
Yeah.
It was like tick-tock. My body just twisted and created energy as it went. So I started kind of playing around with it. So then I went to my clients that I was training at the time and I changed the way I was teaching them. And I started making them do how I knocked him out with. I started playing with how I moved. I started really paying attention to athletics.
But before that, that like whole concept or like just that epitome hadn't happened yet.
It hadn't happened, no. And that's when I went from like here to here. I took a huge jump after that because I was really aware of my body mechanics then.
Yeah.
And then my teaching went from here to here.
When you say teaching, like was it just
my clients were improving at like a crazy?
Were they aspiring UFC fighters, or was it like kind of what?
Yeah, and most of them were amateur fighters at the time, and I managed some other guys that were,
but not like what it is now.
It's different.
Like now,
there was a lot of shows back then.
Really,
we used to have a lot of events. Like there was a lot of pro cards in Canada at the time.
And there's still, but at this time, there's still no like Instagram or
there was
shit
still
like
no
that.
Instagram and stuff like that. Yeah.
Social media in general.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. Facebook, yes, but there was nobody. There's no videos.
It didn't have the same purpose it does
videos
now.
or anything like that. I don't even know if our phones could really make a video that you could post.
Right. Yeah.
So I just started working on making how people moved instead, right? Because that's where that punch came from and that knee came from, right? The way I moved. And my clients started hitting harder.
Did they start getting more success even in their own right?
Yeah, I had a lot of guys started going good. Like Jesse Gross was up the top 5 in Canada at the time. I had another guy, Raj Haddon, that was like doing really well. And just kind of helped me. Like, so the more I was like with them, the better it was making me because the more I was aware of things.
So
I started playing around. So I just started playing around with things and started feeling how one thing created another.
Do you think it was because you had less like not like less expectations, but less you were able to loosen up in even your own training, be that way because you didn't have like these you had already checked off the boxes of like the goals you had wanted to get accomplished?
Yeah.
Like, were you just more chill in the gym in general, and that's what you allowed you to do it?
I was a chill fighter too. So when I fought Goulet for the title, when I won the ringside title, right when I started getting my UFC run, on the way to the cage, Leo Laux had been training me, and this is still the best thing anyone has ever said to me in my life.
Yeah.
I was nervous as shit. So I was fighting Jonathan Goulet, 9 or 10-time UFC vet. Guy I watched myself. I used to watch him from the fans and go, oh, he's awesome, right?
Crazy.
I'm fighting him now. And I stopped right before we walked out, and I looked at Leo, and I was like, I'm not going to lie, Leo, I'm pretty fucking nervous. And he just grabbed me, and he goes, just be yourself. And I was just like, I can do that? Because Sean Tompkins was a great coach for some people, but when I fought, we didn't agree.
Sure.
Like he can call stuff for like Sam, and Sam would just do what he said.
Yeah.
But for me, he'd be yelling at me. He'd always get angry at me. I wouldn't listen to what he said because it didn't suit me. It didn't feel right to me, and it wasn't my style.
Yeah.
Right. So when Leo told me, just be yourself, I was like, I'm allowed to do that. And I just felt this freedom.
What was the nervousness just of like a failure?
Yeah, just because I knew I had to beat him if I ever wanted to go to the
Did
UFC.
you ever have any like...
He's an idol of mine.
Yeah.
He's good.
So it was just like anticipation,
really
anxious.
Like, yeah.
It was like, did you ever like have anything weird where you like throw up? Like were you getting nervous and throw up?
No, there's a lot of guys that sit on the toilet quite a few times.
Or like, again, forgive my ignorance, but like, is there like, does it go through your head like every time like, fuck it, I'm not doing this or anything like that? Or is it like, and constant like, the battle's coming in your head, you just got to overcome it? Or is it always like, that just only that anxious, like, let's get it on type of thing?
Some people are like pukers. Some people are fine. Other people get really angry backstage.
Yeah.
I would always be joking around and kind of like I would take my mind off the subject and I would try to think about it until my hands get wrapped. Once my hands get wrapped, then I'm like,
this is real?
This is going to happen. This is going to happen. But as soon as my music would come on, then I would kind of go into this different person.
Cool.
Like I would really transfer out of body almost to this. It's time to put on the show.
Yeah.
Like to a performer. Right? And then the nerves were kind of gone. Once I got going, and then once I got in the cage, the nerves were gone. Usually I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
time to perform, right?
I'm sure. Right? I'm sure you're kind of just distracted.
Except for one time, my mom was in this crowd. And I was just getting ready to get in the ring, and my mom was just like, "Oh," I was like, I thought I was gonna start crying.
Why? Because you hadn't like had that visual before.
Yeah,
really?
it was like she was like right by the cage. I was coming around the corner, getting all pumped up. My mom was just right there, and I was just like, "Oh shit!" Like, all these emotions and nerves hit you at one time, right?
Yeah.
I can't cry. I'm ready to fight.
Yeah. So how long after you kind of like were done fighting and started coaching to like where you're at now coaching?
It's like that. I was always full-time coaching.
But even just like that, like where you were able to like relax with your clients and like or fighters and like kind of play a little bit.
Yeah, once I wasn't competing, I could totally focus only on them.
So how long's that been from then to now?
It's been 6 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, my last fight I was 39, so I'm 7 years now. I'm going to 7 years.
So you think like, or is it the fact that like if you just could drop down age but still keep what you've learned over the last years with the clients, you'd be a completely
better. I'm way more knowledgeable and better now than I ever was when I competed.
Really? Do you think there would have been a way to pick up that stuff when you were fighting, or is it just like different stages of life?
Yeah, it's different stages of life and experiences and learning, and so I learned so much more from teaching.
Did you
I get so much better teaching people. And the thing is, I was never physically the best fighter. Like there's amateurs
like
that
physically fit wise,
and fit wise too.
Or like when you physically,
I'm barely 5'9".
Were you always battling injuries and shit?
I had a lot of injuries. 'Cause I started when I was old, and I still had a rough go as a kid, and I was on every sport. And I think that's what actually helped me too teach what I teach, is because I'm so familiar with other sports.
Yeah,
I've played volleyball, I've played baseball, I've played basketball.
You can relate.
I've played everything, so I know how to kind of move for every sport. So I'm able to find ways that relate to fighting. Mm-hmm. Like someone like Nick. So Nick, some people don't know, he's a bodybuilder and he's very rigid, but he's really good at basketball. So when I teach him to do things in striking, I'll make him relate it to basketball, shifting his weight. Right. So that kind of helps me relate things to people so they can understand it and learn. Because people get nervous when they try and fight, or trying to learn how to fight. They come in the gym, they're going, "Oh, hands, feet, kick, punch."
Yeah,
and then they get all tight. Where if I give you a baseball, so throw it. You never get all stressed out to throw a baseball. You never get stressed out to shoot a basketball, right? You never get stressed out to swing a golf club. You don't lock up and tighten up. Stressful. Golf is a little bit stressful for a slice.
Yeah,
different kind of stress.
Yeah, right? I guess. Yeah, mental.
Yeah. If you're playing some Pro V1s, they get expensive.
Yeah.
Lose that ball.
Did you golf always? Had you always been a golfer?
I didn't start golfing until I was around 20.
Okay, so throughout your
First time I went, my stepdad and my uncle took me out, and I think I shot like 90.
That's decent for the first time out.
I was sure I took 100 mulligans at the same time. Yeah. I remember being in the other room, and they were talking to my mom, and she asked how it went, and they didn't know I could hear them.
Yeah.
And I remember them saying, "We're never taking him again. He's so bad."
He should stick to fighting. Yeah.
Well,
I guess you weren't really fighting at the time.
I wasn't fighting then. So I remember going like, "Oh yeah, you son of a bitches." So I went and turned on Golf Channel Academy. Yeah. Turned on the Golf Channel, and I just started watching Golf Channel Academy all day, every day. And every time my dog went for a pee, my golf clubs came with me. And I would just practice everything. Next time I went out, I ended up beating them.
Really? Yeah. And you've just kind of it's been a hobby since then. Do you have any desire to like, even maybe not now, but what if your son was like, "I want to be the best"? Would you be like, "I've been waiting for you to ask me that. I'll tell you everything I know"?
Yeah, 100%. My wife might murder me for it, but
more so, I guess, asking that, like less related to your son or like anything like that. But like, do you have any desire to be like ringside with someone at the UFC?
I'd like to. I would like to. I honestly, in my opinion, I won't say I'm the best in the world, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody be able to teach anybody better than me. But I'm talking about teaching. People don't realize that there's a big difference between teaching and coaching. I don't think I'm a world-class coach.
Sure, I get that.
I don't think many people can teach as well as I can and get people to understand and learn as fast as I can.
So is there another person that you would bring? Like,
coaching is different. Coaching is so subjective, a lot more subjective than technique. A technique's a technique.
So you'd be like a perfect addition to someone's team?
Yeah, but I would like to train high-level athletes to make them better. They can still have their coach, but
athletes as in
football people go to a trainer. Yeah. Hockey players go to a trainer to train them to skate faster, right? They train them to be more athletic.
But when you say athletes, are we still talking about only mixed martial arts athletes?
I'd like UFC athletes to come to me to learn how to punch smoother, to punch faster, to punch harder, right? To move better, to understand their movement for their punches, because that's what I teach. There's lots of great coaches out there.
So is there a game plan?
Speculative. Coaching can... There could be 100 different
No,
ideas.
I get it. Yeah.
Right. But when it comes to striking, I don't think people see things the way that I see it.
Sure.
I'll see people in the gym that I've had people come up to me and I've had people in classes that came up to me after class and said, I've learned more in one class from you than I have in 2 years.
Yeah.
I've got better in one class than I have in 2 years. I've had pro fighters that I've trained that said the same things to me. One guy was just mad at himself. He's like, I've been doing this for 15 years. How did I not know this?
So what do you do to like try and, do you have a long-term plan as far as like?
I'm still trying to figure out my plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really know how to go about it.
But not to be as cheesy as like social media, but like that'll be a huge like.
It is.
And start to
the
like.
The thing is, if I give it all the way, then why? If they can just watch it on there, why do they have to come to me? That's where my dilemma comes in.
Well,
right?
because I don't think that's like.
But the thing is, I need to see people. Like, I don't like teaching classes very much because I don't like the group.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, if I watch that on thing, it's like, fuck,
Yeah.
I see what he's doing. I see all these points you're highlighting, but it's like.
I need to see you.
You can't. It's the same reason I can't like have the same thought process I do here versus when I'm with you. Like, I don't think, just a side note is like, I think the more you can put out for free, the more people want to like.
Yes, that's if I pull up my phone right now, I have.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You take it.
Of things I need to film.
Yeah.
My wife and kids yell at me daily for being on my phone.
Yeah.
People don't understand. I am obsessed, but I don't watch what people. You said actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody says it. So if you go and take a karate class, that karate instructor is teaching you what he was taught by someone that taught him, by someone that taught him. So now you're looking at something that's over 100 years old. So it's a curriculum. It's not meant for real life combat today.
Yeah, but there's also
a curriculum.
There's a huge disconnect from like being able to like get in front of a group, or not necessarily, but being a one-on-one, being able to like be an athlete's trainer versus like just following instructions in a group for sure.
Like Carl Usman. I can't even pronounce his full name. He's a welterweight champion. He's probably one of the best in the world. He's probably pound for pound top 2 or 3 in the world right now. His striking is good, technically wise. He's good. He understands how to keep his hands up and punch straight, but he's such an athletic guy and has zero athleticism in his strikes.
Yeah.
He is so rigid in his strikes, and he doesn't move properly. If he had someone like me, even the best, Francis Ngannou is a beast of a man, and his striking is not where it should be from from kinetic energy. He's missing a lot in his chain, right? His kinetic chain is missing a lot of links that he could make him even better.
Even just you saying that, and like all it takes is like, and this is the world we are in now with social media and shit, is like if you just keep putting out that shit and then like throw little, like, not, no pun intended, little jabs at like that, like on social media, like I can make this like one of these days, like if you keep doing that, like not one of the days after continuously putting out the stuff and like showing that on social media is like one of these guys are gonna be like, come out here. Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of waiting for. I don't think that people can. When people are, I see this is what I see every day. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. That's what people say all day. Keep your hands up. Stop dropping your hand. You're telling him what he's doing wrong, but you haven't identified why it's happening.
Yeah.
Is he lazy?
Yeah.
Is he just lazy? Yeah. Or is his hips not in the right spot?
Yeah.
If his hips aren't in the right spot, he's going to lean forward. If he's leaning forward, his hands are going to drop, right? Yeah. Is he not rotating properly? Because if he's not rotating back, his hands are going to fall because he's left his arm out there too long. So I see this all the time. I'm that guy in the gym when you see somebody doing something and you're lifting weights all crazy and it's driving you berserk. You have to go over and say something to them. That's me all day long. I just stare at things. I'm like, oh, I can fix that. I can fix that like that. I can fix that person like that, right? It's not what people are always focused on, the punch and the kick. It's not. It's usually the opposite.
I get it for sure.
The punch isn't messed up because it's a punch from the arms. The punch is messed up from the legs or the hips generally.
Yeah.
Same with the kick. The kick isn't messed up from the legs. The kick is messed up from the upper body. It's usually the upper body is in the wrong spot, so the leg won't come up properly. It has nothing to do with the lower body usually, right? But people don't see the same things that I see the way I see it, right? And that's what sets me apart from, I think, everybody else, is why I'm able to teach. Like I said, coaching is another thing.
Yeah. I get teaching, that. Yeah,
I just see things differently, I think, than most people do.
Sure.
People think I'm doing something weird, but I'm providing a drill to fix what this person is doing.
Yeah, right? yeah. Who's easier? I'll use like a couple. Who's easier or more coachable, teachable, male or female?
Women are easier to teach technique to.
Because they have less power by default?
Yeah, and they don't have the meathead mentality.
Sure.
Where they want to hit things as hard as they can. Right?
Yeah.
They're more relaxed.
So is that...
And a lot of fighting, too. Like I always tell people all the time, that's why I always say to clients, I'm like, if you came in here and watched the kickboxing class, the people who are doing really good don't look like they're trying.
Yeah.
The guys who are all like stiff and trying really hard look like crap, right? Where women don't have, they're always kind of calm, and they're more agile than men. They're basically more flexible.
Sure.
They're more... So they're able to use a whip better of their hips and things better than, and kick better than guys are, right?
Yeah.
Just sort of easier. Women can usually pick up things a lot faster. But when it comes to actually fighting, we're two different animals, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally.
It's really hard to train a woman to be a fighter, right? Because you have to be, you can't really teach fighting. It's got to be
an instinct.
You get hit, you're either going to want to hit somebody back or you're going to retreat. Right. So it's really hard to find that in a woman where she can get hit and go, oh, you bitch, I'm going to hit you back. Right?
Yeah.
Where a lot of them get hit and they're like, oh, I don't like this. I've seen 2 girls that I've trained fight and I didn't hit them during training because it's a woman. Right. Of course. And when they spar guys, we kind of let them hit us and we don't really hit them back. It's weird, right? When they get in there and some girl cracks them in the face.
They've never had it before.
It never had to happen before. Right. So unless there's other women for them to train with, it's kind of hard to see who can
stand until you're standing in there and have to.
So that's a big difference between men and women, I think, right? Technical wise, I think women can pick it up easier and better, but when it comes to actual fighting, because there's some guys too, like I'm just different. You see me in the gym and you see me in the ring, I'm 2 different people.
Yeah. Well, it's like
mainly because the guys I train with are small.
Yeah.
Like I never had anybody big enough for me to unload on at the gym. I've never hit anybody in the gym. I've never even hit anybody at 50% probably at the gym. Every sparring match I've ever had has been like touch you. Especially because like a lot of the guys I trained with were like at the time it was like
couldn't
Sam
take
was probably
it.
the biggest one, and he was 175 pounds, 180 at the max. So I was still 30 pounds heavier than him. So I was never really gonna.
It's not fair.
Yeah, I'm never gonna fight them like I'm trying to knock them out.
Yeah.
Right. So I was always, but that's why I'm so good at being sneaky because I had to figure out ways to keep up with
smaller,
because physically
faster.
they should be faster than me.
Yeah.
So I had to make myself faster than them by hiding it with movement, right? Because you can't physically make yourself faster without doing some kind of performance stuff, like lifting weights, explosion stuff. And that takes a long time. But if I'm moving around and my punches are hidden, you can't time a race if you didn't see it start.
Yeah.
Right? So,
are there any other big camps or facility like in Canada, like there are down in the States? Like, you hear about these like just pure.
Yeah, you have the huge gyms down in the States.
Is there anything like
20 UFC fighters at them?
Yeah, like they're
the only one in Canada that I know of that's massive like that.
Something in Montreal.
Yeah, like where George St. Pierre was at for the hobby, and they have a dorm. So some of the guys would go and stay at the dorm.
So there's probably only one like that.
Like that, yeah. That's the only big one I can really think of in Canada.
So how do you get in down there to like?
Any fighter could basically just.
No, I'm talking about you. How do you like say I'll make that your fighter better in Canada?
Yeah, I never even thought about that too.
You'd have to do it like.
Yeah. The thing is too is Montreal is a very big hub for wrestling as well, and for kickboxing and for boxing. And that's the thing too is people don't realize the change that MMA has had on the striking world.
Yeah, making it more.
People
important.
don't realize that. I know a lot of people. I'm gonna get in a fight, but I got working with. I'm gonna go train with this boxing coach. I'm gonna go train with Freddie Roach, one of the best boxing coaches of all time. So, well, Freddie Roach is an MMA fighter. Right?
Yeah,
you can't specifically train boxing to fight MMA because once you're add different weapons to the arsenal, you have to change a lot of other things. You have to change stance. You have to change defense. You change gloves. Size of gloves, your defense has to change. Look at the difference between boxing and bare knuckle boxing. I don't know if you ever watched bare knuckle boxing, but it doesn't look anything like real boxing.
No.
Because they don't have gloves to hide behind, right?
Yeah.
One punch, and you have to be careful with your hands. You don't break them at the same time.
You didn't just send me that video, man. I saw this video of these 2 boxing coaches. Did you see this?
I don't think so.
It's 2 boxing coaches in like. I say they are Irish. It was 2 Irish boxing coaches, like outside of a boxing or like some sort of like mixed martial arts like event, and you could probably just tell they're 2 like hyped up boxing coaches from opposing camps, and it's just bare knuckle, and they just unload on each other like in their like they were just watching buddies match inside type of thing, and like all these Irish people are just like it was wild. Yeah,
well, bare knuckle boxing,
but they were like
Irish too.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. Is actually the UFC, not the UFC, the boxing world champion right now, the heavyweight champ, Tyson Fury was a He's like a gypsy. He's done bare knuckle boxing before. Now he's the boxing champion. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's
didn't have that height. He was more like had to have more skills.
His defense has to be different, right?
Yeah,
because he doesn't have a big. He doesn't just rely on his big gloves to hit. But
what do you like
he moves
more?
His head more and he moves better.
Do you watch a lot of boxing?
I do watch a lot of boxing, but I think boxing itself is a lot cleaner than the bare knuckle because the bare knuckles.
But even fighting in like would you if there was
MMA over everything.
There's UFC fight on or like a big boxing fight on, you'd pick MMA.
Yeah. The only thing I watch that I prefer to watch over
don't say MMA, wrestling.
No, is the ONE FC because they do small glove kickboxing.
Yeah, they have a bunch.
So there's no takedowns at all.
They have a bunch of different ones. Like
they have MMA, but they on the same event they'll have like just a kickboxing fight.
Yeah.
But the guys are wearing MMA gloves.
Just to throw it off?
So they wear pure MMA gloves, but they don't do MMA.
Yeah.
Right? So it's pretty exciting to watch that because it's small gloves too. Right?
You said wrestling before, WWE style stuff?
No. Not that kind of stuff.
But did you like that ever? Like
when I was a kid, like when The Rock was there, yeah.
But I met
The Rock one time after a book signing in his limo.
Really?
Yeah, in an alley in Toronto.
That's hilarious.
He was at Chapters in Toronto, and we showed up. We drove all the way to Toronto. We get there, and the lineup was like blocked.
Because he would have just been a WWE wrestler at that point.
Yeah, he was a star in WWE. And at the time, there was an event at the Sky Dome at the time.
Yeah.
And we showed up to Chapters. It was me, my sister, my girlfriend, and my brother-in-law. And the lineup was massive. And we were like, this thing ends in 2 hours. Our lineup's like 5 hours long.
Yeah.
What's the point? So we just walked around the block. And as we were coming back around, we came to an alley. Just happened to be behind Chapters. And there was this little Asian dude back there with the camera. And then 2 security guards.
You knew what was up.
And I was like, I think The Rock's going to come out here. So sure enough, about 20 minutes later, the door opens up and more security guards come out and this limo pulls out. And it came out the alley, but it's Toronto. So the limo's in the alley trying to get out on a busy Toronto street.
Yeah.
He was stuck there.
Mayhem.
So the little Asian dude at the window with his camera, he's hitting the limo and the window it rolls down and it was The Rock.
That's crazy.
And he had this big gold chain on at the time too. And I remember in my head, I was like, I should steal his gold chain.
Oh, man.
So much money. It's a Rock's gold chain.
How far would you make it?
Yeah, exactly. And his bodyguard was way bigger.
He'd probably just get out and chase you himself.
But his bodyguard made him look little, which is crazy. Anyway, so the window comes down. And I'm like, that's The Rock. And my sister, who's not even like, my girlfriend at the time was in love with The Rock. But my sister doesn't give 2 shits usually.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's ever seen anybody famous before because as the window got down and the guy took a picture, my sister dove through the window and grabbed The Rock's arms like this and squeezed him and just froze with her pupils staring at him. And he's like, hi.
No one knew what to do.
He's like, hi. And she's actually, I think she drew blood on his arm.
Oh my God.
I had like pry her off of him. He's like, hi. Like this. And I was like pulling her out the window. Her pupils are like this big. And I was like, oh, hey, how you doing? He's like, hi, have a good day. And
That's
he
hilarious.
drove away.
That's funny.
He was very personable though.
Yeah.
He was stuck there. He couldn't go nowhere, so he had no. He just
kind of had
there was
to
nobody
be.
else around. It was literally like us 4 people. And my brother-in-law was a giant 6'4" guy. And he was just mad because my sister, who was all in love with The Rock now, all of a sudden. He didn't even come over to say hi. He's like, screw The Rock. I don't like The Rock anyway. Basically, there's 3 of us there.
That's
The
funny.
Rock I stopped saying hi.
So you never there was never a aspiration to be a WWE star.
No fake fighting for me.
Yeah. So your son? What are your kids into?
Oh, my son plays hockey and he loves soccer, and I do have him in karate, which drives me nuts because I have to pay
bite
for
your
him
tongue
to train.
a little bit.
I have to bite my tongue because of the techniques, but some of it's good.
Do you have him in there?
I teach a lot of karate and taekwondo type stuff for head kicks.
What's he use? Do you pitch it to him as like another sport to just don't think about it too hard? It's just all a sport.
He wanted to be a ninja. That's what he said. That's
so it's
why
like, okay, cool, do this.
He was in taekwondo, which I did, and I was so happy. I loved it because taekwondo was one of the most fun times of my life.
Yeah.
So when he was doing taekwondo, it brought back a lot, and I could get in there and have fun with him. But my wife's a karate black belt, and karate has weapons. Mm-hmm. And my son wanted to be a ninja at 5 years old, so he didn't want to do taekwondo because they didn't have weapons.
How old is he now?
Karate. He's 8 now.
Still doing it?
He's doing karate now, yeah. But he hasn't been there in a while since COVID and stuff.
How early do they get into like dreaming about being a UFC fighter?
I'm not sure because he doesn't really. If he watches the fights a little bit with me, it comes on. He gets into it a little bit, but he's more interested in soccer and other things right now.
But he's like, oh, my dad was there once before and shit.
Yeah,
like,
he kind of
knows, obviously.
That's what makes me want to fight again because I wish they could have seen it.
That's what I was going to ask.
I'd love to
other
fight
times,
one time with
did
my
they
kids
ever
go
see you? Like,
not when they were old enough to
yeah,
remember. No.
yeah.
My son's first Halloween was when I fought in Australia.
Would they want to?
Oh, they would have loved to. Yeah, sure they would have loved it, but they never. My daughter seen me fight once. When I fought in Australia, I called home right after my fight. My daughter's like, "Daddy, I seen you at the gym."
Watching it like a watch party or whatever.
Sweaty, she said.
Oh yeah,
yeah. She was only like 3, right?
yeah.
She didn't understand that I was like halfway across the world and I was fighting in a big arena. She I saw you at the gym.
Yeah. That's funny
because
though.
she was in the gym all the time. That's another thing too. Is my kids won't train at the gym. There's kids classes at the gym, but they won't train there.
They just don't want to.
No, they've been playing there since they were babies. So when
so it's a different thing.
They see the instructors and they run over to them. And they used to give like Jesse Goff would they give him a little slap or wrestle and play
I
with
get
them.
that.
So
yeah,
I try and make them be disciplined there. They don't. They just go in and they want to play around or joke around and
that might come with age, or it might just come with like. Because that'll turn too, right? Like, sooner or later, it'll be beneficial if they choose to like be interested in that stuff. It'll be beneficial for them to be in a setting that they're like ultra comfortable in.
Yeah, and I think it comes to the point where, because I'm such a critique trainer and I'm so meticulous on technique, that it turns my son off when I correct him too much, and it's kind of hard just to let him do things wrong and have fun with it.
Yeah.
I think I might be a little bit too strict. I'm trying to correct him all the time. I think it puts him. I might get him down.
Turns him off a little bit from
I
it.
think it's kind of my fault in that sense. I try not to, but
I'm sure there's a balancing act. And
sooner or later, when he's a little older, he'll understand a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
And he loves wrestling, but he won't take wrestling lessons, which drives me nuts too.
Really?
I think wrestlers are tough as shit.
Yeah, so, that's like a whole nother thing, right? It's like,
thing. And that's one thing I was always lacking because I never ever wrestled. My high school never had it, so I never ever tried it before.
Yeah. Right? Like if you would have done wrestling,
I could grapple and I could punch, but I couldn't do the wrestling in between very well. I had very limited wrestling experience. So.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was just natural scramble ability that I would just make up as I went.
Reaction. And I'm sure just stuff you do pick up like on the side.
I was always a good grappler. I did well in tournaments and stuff like that. And I was really good at submissions. I just wasn't good at the wrestling aspect.
Yeah. So now what? So you're still, do you have any active like people that have potential in terms of like,
And
is it something you look out for?
I try, like I said, I don't want to be a coach.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to coach them. I want to help them learn and make them better and let somebody else deal with the game plan, strategies and all that stuff.
So is there a lot of guys, is there any guys, bigger guys?
I think I should, I'd like to coach coaches. I want to be the trainer of trainers, basically, right? I'd like to be able to train people how to teach people.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Right? I'd even like to put on seminars, even for fitness trainers.
Yeah.
Fitness trainers who don't want to, a lot of people don't want to. That's the thing is most people don't understand their audience or their clientele.
Yeah.
I would say maybe even less than half the people that actually walk into a gym will ever even spar.
Yeah.
But everybody always tries to teach them like they're fighters.
Yeah.
Especially your one-on-one clients.
For sure.
One of the first things I ask somebody is, why are you doing this?
The first thing you ask them, why
are you doing this? Why do you want to do this? Do you want to fight? If you don't want, as soon as you say you don't want to fight, I can throw a lot of shit out the window.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't need to learn so much strict defense and angling things like that if you just want to do this to get in shape.
Mm-hmm.
If you want self-defense, well, now my game plan changes a little bit more. I have a woman that I trained that had a bad assault happen to her. She strictly wants to be able to fight a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't ever advise that, but I'm like, okay, so you don't need angles. You need to be able to stay away from the guy, get away, and you need to be able to hit hard and hit fast, right? So I have to change the game plan. Some people get criticized for what I might hear people in the background criticizing what I'm teaching this person, but you don't know why I'm teaching them.
Yeah, totally.
You don't understand
right?
why this person's.
It's almost like
why am I having this person do this drill?
Yeah,
because this is what they want to do.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna. I had another trainer at the gym. I was training a client one day, and he asked me for the remote if I was using the ring timer, and I said, "No, I don't use the ring timer."
Yeah.
And he turns around, and under his breath, I hear him say it. I don't know why you use ring timer. It's not like fights have rounds or anything.
Yeah.
This person's not a fighter.
Yeah.
I'm not training this person to fight.
Do you think that a lot of trainers in mixed martial arts gyms have that wrong? Do you think they they by default treat the non-fighters like fighters?
Yeah.
Because it's the only thing they know?
It's the only thing they know. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is too, back to don't teach what you were taught.
Yeah.
Teach what you do.
Yeah, but it's hard
right?
if you're not
teach
like
what you do. You have to understand what you do in order to teach it. If it worked for you, then it works.
But you also have to have that even self-awareness in being a good teacher to be able to like realize that.
You have to dissect yourself first, right?
And if you've only ever been getting taught and you're not coming from like a teaching standpoint,
I see it.
I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't.
Like I said, my family gets mad at me all the time because I live on my phone. Mm-hmm. I don't watch TV shows. Rarely ever do I ever just sit down and watch TV.
Yeah.
I literally watch fights and I watch instructionals of people doing things, but I don't watch it with volume.
Yeah.
I'll deliberately turn the volume off and watch it because I don't want to hear what they're saying. I want to watch what they do. And more often than not, when I see somebody post a technique or a combination or a drill and how to teach it, I watch them do it in slow motion and then I'll watch them do it fast. And 90% of the time, they do the exact opposite technique when they did it fast with the footwork than they did when they did it slow. And I see it all day long. I see people teaching this 1-2 step, and then when they go fast, they do the exact opposite step.
So it's like there's a huge disconnect when you're trying to teach someone how to do it the way you're not actually doing yourself. Yeah.
Or someone says, "Oh, but teach this because Floyd Mayweather does it." I'm like, "Well, you're not teaching Floyd Mayweather."
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather, I watch his tapes. He doesn't do it either. He just teaches it. He just still doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather, boxers push off their back leg when they punch. They don't step up their back leg like they train.
Yeah.
And I watch video after video after video. And rarely do I ever see that actually happen, but 90% of the time they train it. So they spend 90% of the time training something that they do 1% of the time.
Yeah.
Right. And they spend 0% of the time training the thing that they do 99%
definitely.
of the time. Right. And that's where the big problem comes in, is because people are teaching what they were taught by someone who taught them what they were taught. And now you're teaching stuff that's 50 to 100 years old. Right. And now you're teaching it for a different sport.
Yeah.
You're teaching boxing footwork for MMA.
Yeah. And it's just forever evolved.
Two different things,
like,
right? I teach people how to be athletic.
Yeah.
Because if you're athletic and you're moving properly, you can do anything at any time.
So do you have any clients that are like, I want to be a fighter when you ask them that question?
I have a couple right now that have aspirations, some younger kids that are 18 that want to be fighters.
But they're not yet.
No, they're not yet. So as soon as they get to the point, and I will send them. I've literally taken clients of mine and said, listen, I don't want you to train with, I don't know any other trainer that's done this, but I do it all the time. Instead of training with me twice a week, I want you to only train with me once a week and take that extra money and go do jiu-jitsu over here. Mm-hmm. Or go train with this person over here, because this is what you need. Right? So I've taken money out of my own pocket to send these people to other people who can do something that I can't do for them, that I see more fit if they want to be fighters, right?
Do you refer people to always the same place for certain techniques and stuff?
Usually I'll send them to the same like one or two people if they want to get certain like exercise or something like that. I have a couple guys I'll send them to if they want to do jiu-jitsu. If they're local, I send them to Jesse Goff at my gym. I think he's very technical and he's kind of a modernized jiu-jitsu, and he's there, right? And I have another client too that is very limited to where she goes to. So I had a guy that I went to high school with. It's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. There's another gym down in Chatham area, so it's a lot closer for her.
Yeah.
I sent her there. I even took money out of her payment. Like she was paying me. I took money off of her payment. To
compensate the other one.
Yeah, I said, okay, instead of you paying me this much, I want you to only pay me this much per session now, and I want you to take that extra money and join that gym.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not trying to get rich off these people. I don't want them to go broke. I want them to get better.
And learn what they want to learn. Yeah.
I've done it at my gym before. I've told people to not train with me and go get
something else.
I don't think you should train with me. I think you should take the extra money that you train with me and buy a gym membership here.
Yeah.
So you can train with other people. So you can spar with other people instead of just doing personal lessons with me. And I don't own the gym. You can make some money off that. I didn't. I took money out of my own pocket and gave it to the gym. Right.
So is there like, do you enjoy teaching one over the other? Can you relate more to the fighter because you're a fighter, or is it easier to more enjoyable to teach a person that like isn't necessarily so fight driven?
It's both. I like the fighters because I can kind of bounce things off of them back and forth with them, and they understand what I'm saying, and I can say, well, this is what you, and I do like blowing their minds. I have a couple pro fighters that I'm training right now, like 3 of them right now that are one's a pro boxer and 2 are professional MMA fighters.
Yeah.
And all 3 of them have been like,
but do you learn more bouncing stuff and like using them as a teacher for yourself and like just developing as with a fighter, or do you like learn more as a teacher from stuff you're able to like problem solve off of people that are like me that don't know.
But it's almost like a little bit of a debate because they always have their own mindset.
Like the fighter?
Because the fighter's always, I've always done this. Mm-hmm. And I can say, okay, well, do this now.
But that's got to give you
like, well, that actually is better, right?
That's got to give you different perspectives versus just like you saying do this to me doing something, and you like it's a one-way relationship as far as like the information being given versus the fighter, but there's maybe a little like not headbutting, but like whatever argument, friendly there's more debate. You know, but you know, if you,
I can always prove people wrong.
Yeah,
because
but it's not about like it's like proving people wrong.
Yeah, it's
like
proving that my system is better.
Yeah,
like I always say there's no such thing as different. There's no such thing as wrong, just different.
Yeah,
but this way is a little bit better.
Yeah,
right? It's not wrong.
Yeah,
can't say that's wrong because it can work, but this way will work more often.
Yeah,
this way is more efficient, right? Like it's a lot easier. People try and do moves. My mentality when I did grappling was, if you show me to do something, because grappling is very technical. So if you give me a move to do and I'm trying it and it doesn't work for me, it's not going to work for me in a fight, right? So the same thing with footwork. You're giving someone footwork to do and they're trying to step funny and their feet are getting kind of tangled up and then you want them to do it in a fight. They're not going to do that in a fight. They're going to go back to how they naturally move in a fight. That's why I teach people how to walk.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I always have my TikTok and body motion, because that's what happens. And I watch it 99% of the time in fights.
That's that might be even easier to teach to a person that doesn't have that like mindset of being taught another way and then having to go to what you
but it's funny because they fight with me on their footwork because of how they're taught when they're demonstrating it.
I know.
And then as soon as I take 2 steps backwards and I say, okay, now punch me, and I start walking away from them, they almost instantly switch to the way I'm telling them to do it, right? Because
and it's just a realization type for them.
But they won't realize that they did it. Right? I said, now you're doing it. You're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
You don't think, just do it type thing, right?
Do you have anything else that like you put that type of effort or interest in, like just even like completely obscure from
fighting? I'm kind of obsessed with teaching right now. Like literally I live on my phone.
Just teaching.
I'll stay up till like 2:00 in the morning sometimes, just watching stuff, and I'll question myself. I question what I teach, and I know I'm right. And I see I'm right, and I still will go back day after day. Is it
just because you have that? It's still just that intriguing to you and interesting to you for you to like constantly be soaking in that information.
Yeah, I always say it's like art to me.
Yeah,
like,
cool.
I see people punch and kick, and it flows. Yeah, I just love the way the body moves for it when it happens. Right? Yeah. So I constantly watch it because I just like it. And there's so many different ways of doing things, and so many different kind of ways you can connect things together. I call it connecting the dots. Right? Just connecting dots. That's all I do is connect dots. So. That's when you're putting different combinations together. So you're
gonna do like a YouTube thing, or like how?
I started a YouTube channel a while back.
Yeah.
During COVID, because I was giving like a lot of at home things.
Do you do all the stuff like the one you posted today and shit? Of me with like the check graphic? Like do you do that yourself?
Yeah. And that's a lot of time. That takes a lot of time to do that.
For sure. And I know because like that's the one thing that
editing and stuff like that takes a lot of time.
But that's got like, you got to keep doing that.
Yeah, I got to do more of it, but I got to get a better camera too. And I think my editing app makes things a little blurry.
Really?
I think I lose quality on the editing app that I have, but I paid $50 for it for a year, I think.
Really?
So I'm going to use it for the year.
Because just like,
I think a lot of people pay for people to do that kind of stuff for them.
Maybe, but you got to like, if your goals to like have a huge successful business based around like teaching coaches, teaching thing, and then maybe, but
I'd like to have an app. That's what I'd like to have. I'd like to have an app.
Yeah.
Where coaches come to my seminar or whatever it is. I teach them some stuff. I understand how to teach, and then I give them an app so that weekly I give them like a combo of the week. I teach them how to teach that combination. I teach them what to look for in that combination, how to make people move for that combination each week.
And just like
someone like you're training a client, right? Your client wants a cardio.
Yeah.
Instead of you saying, stair stepper time, how about you learn some self-defense? Because it gives people a lot of confidence too.
Big time.
Right? And that's the thing too, is a lot of people make fun of me because I teach a lot of spin moves. Well, they work. I've had a lot of success in them. My most famous thing I've ever done in my career was my sweep I did.
But anyone, honestly, even hearing you say that, anyone who's criticizing spin moves, it's like, I'm not here to be a MMA fighter.
They're fun.
So like, who cares?
They're
like,
fun and people want to do them. I always say it's kind of like, you did your homework. Now you get to play.
Yeah, yeah.
So people feel good. They feel good when they can do a jump spin kick or they can do a spinning back kick.
For sure.
It makes people, especially out of business, you want people to come back to the business. I'm sure to enjoy being there.
I'm sure a majority of UFC fighters can't do some of that stuff correctly.
Yeah, a lot of them can't. It's getting more popular now. Yeah. Things are changing. That's the thing. MMA has changed the world, and it's constantly changing a little bit more and a little bit more.
I would just keep it's like is putting it out as much as possible that like where you're not that you if you're willing to do that video and stuff like that, like 100%. There's no way something like that doesn't pay off over time.
I posted a video of a guy doing one time just doing a simple like a jab cross combination and something. And another trainer said, well, "That's the most basic one I've ever seen you put out like that," like a comment at it. And I was just like, well, I don't post the basic stuff. I post the big stuff like that. But people have to understand who are watching this that I'm not posting pictures or videos of high level fighters. I'm posting
exactly
pictures of a single mother of 3 who's in her 30s that is doing stuff that some pro fighters can't even
do.
Right?
Yeah, the correct way.
Yeah, like I posted a video yesterday of a kid. I've only trained him for he said 2 hours of training with me. That's not even one-on-one. He does it with a friend.
Yeah.
And he's already doing things that people I've seen train with other people for like 3 years.
Yeah, that's got to be like satisfying.
He's like, it's not that he's super athletic at all. He just is calm and he listens and I don't teach kicks and punches. I teach how to move.
Yeah.
And everything else looks good on its own. Right?
The kicks and punches follow.
Yeah, it's the same as you.
Yeah.
Like, you look pretty good on pads already, like compared to like some other people. Like you move well. I taught you how to move.
Yeah, totally. Like all of this, and I can see, I can imagine
the punches and kicks out of the punch and kicks. That's what I always tell people.
Totally, and makes sense to me. And I'm not like a fighter or anything close to it. And it's like
one of the first things I teach people when they go to kick. I'm like, show me a kick, and everybody will do that little snap kick, like a soccer ball kick, and I'll say, no, all right.
Yeah.
Now you have to take the kick out of the kick. So take everything that makes a kick that you think is a kick, which is that snappy part, and take it away.
And use the rest of your body. And then
now you have to use everything else for the power.
Yeah.
Right? Because the snap of the leg, the quadricep, is only a little bit, right? The base leg is like a squat. It's like the top of a squat, like lifting up.
Yeah.
Pivot now. So now you got your hips and your foot turning around, right? Hips are very powerful. Then once you get your hips in, then you can add that little bit of a snap at the end.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause that's actually the weakest part, right? But that's the piece only people do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Is there, other than like you kind of said it before, with like that comment of like, just, is there of being yourself? Is there one thing that like one coach made you be the way you are now? As far as like teaching, like, did you have one coach / teacher that was like, you're different from everyone else, and like I can see why, like I want to be that way?
No, not really. For the most part, I'm self-taught.
Did you have
most things? I'm self-taught for the most part. Technique-wise, other than my Taekwondo stuff and a little bit of boxing stuff, I'm self-taught. And everything I learned from boxing, basically, I threw out the window.
Really?
And I adapted it to do my own way of punching. Right, my own. Like I rely on body mechanics. I rely on how the body's supposed to move, athletic movements. I don't.
And it's just observe.
So rigid.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is everybody teaches this rigid stance, and it throws people's balance out the window, and it throws people's movements out the window, and then they have a hard time learning.
Yeah.
You can always add in other things.
Yeah.
After.
Yeah, for sure. It's like
it's hard to add the movement after. So if you add the movement first, teach them the floor up, not the hands down.
Yeah.
Right? It makes a big difference that way. And because I'm self-taught and I've learned from teaching, I have 21,000 hours at least of one-on-one experience.
Yeah,
that's a lot of hours.
Crazy. Yeah, for sure.
So I figure I teach. I've been doing it nonstop since I was 30, so for 16 years. I do over 1,000 clients a year, so that's about 21,000 hours of personal training, of working one-on-one with people. So I'm learning from every one of those hours, right?
Is there like something? I'm gonna ask weird questions. Has anyone like gotten seriously injured in anything, like fluke accidents? I'm not saying like in PT or like in one-on-ones where it's like these are weird, like punched a bag and their arm snapped or anything like that.
No,
like,
I have a couple guys have rolled their ankles.
Yeah, but nothing like stands out where you're like
no one's ever been really hurt. That's the thing too. If you move your body correctly,
you don't really generally, right? Yeah.
The thing is too, is I always think of it this: if people are paying for private lessons, you train people.
Yeah.
You have a studio full of people getting trained. I would say every person who's coming to the gym and if you're buying a personal lessons, you are making an investment an investment in yourself.
Yeah,
Every investment is meant to grow.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the same thing. If someone comes to your gym and hires a personal trainer, and that personal trainer is going, okay, we're going to do bench press.
Yeah.
All right, here's 100 pounds. Do it 8 times. And that person has a trainer who's just letting them do bench press and not giving them cues, not giving them how to
get yourself
in the right posture. Give them mental cues.
Teaching them things.
Teach them as they're doing it. Teach them about time under tension.
Yeah.
Teach them things.
And that's like,
so they learn how to. Because that's why some guys go to the gym. Some guys will work out for 2 years. And they don't.
Nothing changes.
Simple.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I did the same thing you did. I lifted the same amount of weight. Well, I can lift that same weight 100 different ways.
Yeah.
But there's only the right way is what's going to make.
And that's just
contract,
like the world, right? It's going to be watered down by so many like people that don't deserve to like
grow out of your investment.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I consider myself. People are investing by coming to me, so I need to make them get better.
Do a lot of your clients come for self-defense? I think whether or not, it doesn't have to be like this happened to me, I want to be able to do this. It's more like
they want the confidence.
Yeah.
You want to know that if you're in a situation, you can, help somebody. Right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. We talked about that earlier. The fighters, people who fight don't fight.
Totally.
It's because they're confident, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get confident. You get the odd kid and they're around 20 years old, they'll get in some street fights and stuff like that after. And I was guilty of it.
What if one of your students or clients was like kept getting it, you teaching them the shit, he kept getting, are you going to tell him, hey, come back to me later?
If he was constantly starting it, then if one of my fighters knocked somebody out downtown, they got in an argument.
Over and over, you'd be like, I can't help you do this anymore.
The other guy started it, and I usually give him a high five and say, "Yeah, good job, good training."
Yeah, totally. I mean, inevitably, if you have 100 people that want to learn self-defense, a couple of those are going to have to use it at some point. But I'm talking about the kid that's just like all piss and vinegar.
Yeah, I'm not training some guy who's going to start fights like that.
Yeah.
I used to have a guy who was he's in a biker gang now, and he sold drugs on the side, and he was a real thug.
Yeah,
he was one of my first ever clients, and he just had to learn the hard way for everything.
Yeah. He
would be like, oh, you can't do that. You do that, I'm just going to go pow, pow, boom, like that. And I was like, okay.
Try it.
He brought his brother in one time and told his brother he'd give him $100 if he'd get me down. His brother's some street thug, tough guy too. I remember I was literally just sitting there with an underhook. So an underhook is basically like getting your arm up underneath someone's armpit. So the guy he was grunting and groaning, and I was literally up against the wall going, talking, having conversation with other people.
Couldn't do anything.
Trying to take me down, right? It's just that mentality of guys. So that was like the only guy I've ever trained that was like a thuggy guy.
Do you train? What's your training situation like now?
I'm just not doing a whole lot.
Do you feel like better, like talking now, like since you've lost some, like gotten back in shape and everything?
I've gotten comments, what's going on with the hair? What's going on with the beard, right? And I was like, I'm not shaving or cutting my hair till I lose 30 pounds. So
yeah.
I feel better now that I'm getting in shape, but I have a really bad shoulder. So it kind of hinders me from doing a lot of things I want to do. And I have a bad back, which messes up a lot of things I want to do. Just years of injuries added up on me. The other thing is too, that's why I did the beard and hair thing, is because I'm used to having goals.
Yeah.
I'm used to having a fight date. And I'm used to getting paid to train basically because it was my job.
Yeah.
Right? So then people are like, well, you work out anymore. I'm like, why don't you quit your job and go back and do it for free?
Yeah. Yeah. So how far are you away from cutting the hair and beard?
I've lost 19 pounds.
Oh, nice.
So I have 11 pounds to go.
So why I kind of asked about that is like mainly diet and like just cleaning everything up.
All diet, and I stopped drinking wine every day.
Yeah.
I haven't had a drink in quite a while, actually.
Cardio? Do you do much cardio?
Not much, but like I wear my watch, so it tells me my steps. So I'm still putting in like 15,000 steps a day just by being at the gym. But I don't know how accurate it is because it goes by movement. So when I'm holding pads, I'm doing this, or I'm throwing punches. Yeah, but that's counting as steps. But though my body
that might count as steps, though. You know what I mean?
So
like,
I'm not too accurate on that.
If I'm walking in the same spot, like I mean, it's all average, right? Like if you find one day you're like 4,000, you're like, I did nothing that day.
I'm just trying to be a little more active that way. But I've only done like a couple really small workouts.
Yeah,
nothing major. Probably nothing more than a half hour of. I did a little bit of a cable crossovers one day. Didn't have
you're telling me
and stuff like that, and do some goblet squats.
Do you hit? But like even hitting the moving
I've
stuff,
been shadow
like,
boxing a little bit and trying to be a little more active with my clients,
just for cardiovascular purposes.
Yeah, getting myself moving around a little bit more active instead of being like just standing there, hold pads. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the thing is too. When people come and see me, I don't hold pads for an hour straight because I don't think you're learning when I'm holding pads for you much.
Yeah.
If I just call combinations and let you punch, you're not going to learn anything.
No, it's not. It's completely contrary to everything we just said as far as like actually breaking down.
Constantly. That's why I don't use a timer, because I'm going to stop you every 10 seconds. And if I just kept doing that for the timer, you're only going to get a couple combinations in before the timer went off anyway, right? So I'm going to stop you and I'm going to correct you what you're doing wrong, and I'm going to come up with a drill to change this or to try and make people be the best they can be, right? So it's all about teaching, right? Because my clients can go and teach somebody else right after. I actually had a client 2 days ago actually said, I have text messages on my phone. There was someone that was training somebody the other day and trying to throw a kick. And I was watching and I was trying not to say nothing. But they seen me.
And they know.
So they're like, what? It's not the lower body, it's the upper body. Is why. And previously to this, my client and me were watching. So I teach my clients as things are happening. So when this was happening, I said to my client, you see why that kick isn't working? And then the trainer threw the kick. And I said, you see what the trainer did differently? The trainer did this with their upper body. So then I came over after they see me looking and I said, it's not this, it's that. And I said, you see when they throw their kick, they do this. And the client goes, I don't do that. I don't swing my arm. Well, I just watched you and went over it with my student as we watched you do it 3 times in a row. But now you're going to argue with me that you don't do it. And why do they say they don't swing their arm? Because someone told them that they're not supposed to.
Yeah. Well,
I can show you a picture of every professional fighter in the world throwing every single kick ever thrown in history of a top level, and there may be 1 out of 1,000 that didn't swing their arm.
Do most people, like client and trainers, like appreciate that at the end of the day, or do you probably get like not.
No, probably don't appreciate it.
Well, I mean, like
the client probably does, but the trainer doesn't appreciate cutting them off.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they still let you come into their circle and break it down a little bit and like even have a conversation of it. Like,
yeah, it was brief, but I don't know they appreciate it. They that's the thing is too. Fighters are bullheaded, stubborn people, right? They don't like to think outside their box.
Yeah.
Or they've been told. What I said fighters should. If you're a fighter, you're obviously if you've made it, you obviously do some things right. Teach what you do. Don't teach what you were taught because you're probably not doing this the same way you were taught.
Yeah.
Right. You have to but the thing is, you have to understand what you were doing before you can teach it. Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, most people are just like, oh, I was told to do this and I made it here because I must do that.
Yeah.
Analyze yourself.
Yeah.
I don't.
Do you have, I asked this, do you have any hobbies well, I know golf, like any things you want to get into that are like kind of weird or like outside the box or
I'd like to drive some race cars someday, but
really? What kind? Like
just like
fast cars or like you want to get in
no, I don't want to get in no like little dragster thing like your wife used to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I don't want to go straight. I want some turns.
You ever go to any of the track days or anything like that?
I've never done them. I've always wanted to do them, but I've done quarter mile stuff because I'm a Mustang guy.
Yeah.
Like I love Mustangs. I always have.
So cars.
They're all quarter miles. I'd like to get into more of the high end.
They do them. Like some of like
you rent them, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, if that's something you want to cross off, it might be worth it, but it's hard to justify spending what they like require to do like 4 laps over. Like I know that Josh did I think in Grand Bend. I know they bring a bunch of like exotic cars to Porsches. Yeah, I've seen that too.
And then you rent it, but then I'd like to actually like be it, like learn. But then how expensive is that going to be?
Yeah,
like, you got to like be in it more than once.
Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah,
that would be like a huge like thing I'd love to do, but I don't think I'll ever come unless I'd win the lottery.
You never know. You never know. Like I don't know. I was just gonna ask.
Like I've
motorcycles. No,
never been on.
So it's not a speed thing.
I got on a motorcycle once. A friend of mine bought a TL 1000, I think it was called. And I didn't know how to ride it. I had a dirt bike when I was younger, but I didn't even shift it. It was like an automatic dirt bike. So my buddy put me on this thing and I was just going around the parking lot on the side of a freeway.
Oh, yeah.
Like at a gas station.
Yeah.
And I was like going around in circles a little bit and I was getting figuring it out. And I hit a little bit of gravel and I went to hit the brake, but I pushed in the clutch. Just kind of panicked. But I still had my hand on the throttle. Let go of the clutch, shot out. Didn't know what I was doing. Now I hit the front brake. I do it like a Chinese wheelie, and I stopped, and a transport truck went.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay,
that's enough for that.
Walked that bike back, and I've never got on one since.
What else? Yeah, like so. I don't know. Yeah, you golf a lot in the summer.
I golf quite a bit. And I can get away. Since I had kids, my golf game's gone way down. But
same.
I used to want to be a pro golfer before I started fighting, so that's what I did throughout my 20s.
It's just try and nail that down.
Yeah, I did it for probably 6 years straight. I golfed like every day. Sometimes I do like 16.
You ever go on any like
36 holes a day? Sometimes.
Local tournaments or anything like that?
Just like the club ones.
Yeah.
Time, but I had I was basically a scratch golfer for a couple years, but I was 250 pounds at the time. I got so fat.
Really?
All I did was like I golfed and I worked at a pizza place. So I basically lived off food at the pizza place, and I golfed.
What course would you have been?
I was down by starting in Chatham area a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I had a membership at a Baldoon golf course, which is actually closed down now. So
Yeah. Okay.
I used to golf every day, and I could shoot. I shot 4 under one time. It was probably my best score ever. And then the next time I went golfing, I was messing up.
Yeah.
I started throwing clubs, and I wasn't having fun anymore. It stopped being fun because I was so angry that I couldn't duplicate what I did before.
Yeah. Is your son? Has he gotten?
He's actually going to golf. I've already registered for golf camp this summer.
Nice. I did that. Like I loved it. I grew up like golfing as soon as I could. Like, and that was awesome. Like because you kind of picked it up as later in life, like in 20s or whatever. That was awesome. That was honestly the opposite for me. I was golf from anytime as soon as my parents could sign me up for the stuff in the summer. And we had like lockers at the club, so it was in walking distance. So we would me and my brother would in the summer would walk over and play as much as we could, and then come back. And then from like 20 till really like late 20s, I'd stopped, because I was like body big, like so it was it was a complete opposite sport. And like
that's what I find with me too is because my weight has shifted around so much that I can't keep my swing consistent.
Yeah, I know. It's completely different.
Yeah,
like
so it messes you up.
Even from the beginning in the last like couple of years for me, you'd come off of like winter, I always like stayed pretty lean, but I'd still be like 240, like still trying to like be big. And then by the end of the summer, you just get obsessed with golf, and it's like, you're dropping weight, kind of. So you could, and then at the end of the season comes as golf, and you like finally get to this weight where you can swing a club and you're comfortable, and then it's like a big cycle. And in the last little bit, I've definitely just like not necessarily downsized, but shifted. Like I've actually become much more of an athlete than I have been in the past, as far as like mobility. And once you get past that, like. It's not really downsizing because I'm actually probably bigger than I have been, at different weights and stuff. But I'm looking forward to the next like couple years where now I'm in a different stage of like my overall size and everything, where I think I'm going to be able to like actually focus on it. Because if you are like 30, 20, 15 pounds on a golf swing, it's not even the same swing.
No.
So it's hard to really like not get frustrated.
Your upper body too. You can't get your hands in the same position where they were before.
Yeah, and then rotating and all that.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
We'll have to get out. I know I said this last year, but like, have you played West Haven before?
No, I never played.
It's awesome. We're all be out there. Like Jimmy's out there.
Now I just play with like local guys in my neighborhood.
Yeah,
like all my buddies that I hang out with now are like police officers and school teachers.
Yeah.
It's like I don't hang out with like the fighter guys anymore that were like partying hard. Now it's different now too at the gym because we were all like.
That's what I was saying in the beginning. Is like you guys were all active together. Now you're kind of all at this different stage.
Now we're all
it seems
different stage of life.
Dads
and things now, so everything's slowed down. Especially now we see like some of the younger guys coming in there too, and
where do you guys?
Like here's living vicariously through their stories.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want more kids or two is the number?
Yeah,
Yeah.
What's funny story about that is actually because I got when COVID first hit, like just as COVID was first coming out, was when it happened. And I think I got COVID the first time. I was in that group of people that were like mysteriously like dying. Coughing. Like, I was on medication for pneumonia and everything. I was in front of a fireplace, like shivering and coughing, and I just got snipped.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be healed in like 2 days. Yeah. I'm coughing every 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah, probably. It's
every time I cough, it feels like someone getting me the hoof in the nuts, right? So I was like, I wasn't healing.
Such a waiting.
It was just horrible. Coughing for like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Like,
how old's your daughter?
She's just turned 10 a month ago.
10. So she's older than your son.
Yeah, my daughter's
you
10.
said that. I knew that.
My daughter's 10. My son just turned 8.
Cool. So how's it with them? You guys anything big this summer coming up? Or
like my daughter's in competitive dance and my son's in competitive hockey.
I got it. How old did she start dance?
This is her 3rd year, I think. But she was in other dances before this.
Like when? How young though?
She started really young.
Like what's really young?
Like 4 or 5. She's in like these little dance classes.
Because Tatum's starting to like see stuff on TV and like I think she's going to be drawn to dance. So I'm like, fuck, like let's go drive around and see. Like, is there room for her at like? She's not 3 yet.
My daughter goes. Oh, she's that young still.
Yeah, she'll be 3 in September.
Yeah, it wasn't where we are now. We had we were in like some hall at the time. And it was like a bunch of little kids dancing around doing like fake ballet. And
yeah.
She was young
because she's
more having fun then, right?
Yeah, I mean anything at that age is like, you're gonna have their extension span if you're gonna have it, and it's gonna be a limited time.
My daughter was in that age. She was doing like the kids gymnastics.
Yeah.
She was doing she was doing soccer tots. It was called soccer.
Yeah,
Little soccer
She signed. We got Tatum up for soccer this summer, and then dance and like whatever.
Yeah.
What more you want to do?
Like, so they know how to socialize.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
Right? So they're around to their kids. You know, some parents don't let their kids do anything they get in school. And like,
what do I do? Yeah, we've been lucky with Tatum because she's been at daycare since. Like the little small
that's
daycare.
The thing with the masks too at schools. Kids haven't seen anybody's faces for so long.
So lucky there too, because Tatum's never had to put one on. Like she wasn't affected in school that way.
Right before I left to come here, my son asked my wife, "When's COVID going to be over?" My wife's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, remember when I was 5 and there was no COVID? When is it going to be like that again?"
Isn't that weird? Like
she's like, well, my wife's a nurse, and she said, "Well, probably never."
But what does that mean to the kid, right? It's like
he's like confused.
You don't want to say
this
never, but
before I came here.
Really?
Yeah, literally just before I came here.
So much of that stuff is like just not know. Yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't. We're lucky. I didn't have to.
That thing is, COVID will probably be like the cold.
Yeah, I know. It's like he doesn't know what never means.
It's like always be there.
Yeah.
It's never going to just vanish away.
But it's not going to be where you're wearing shit in school all the time. But like that's when he or I don't know which one asked, but says never. He's like, fuck, I'm going to have to wear masks always forever and ever.
Well, they're not wearing masks at school now. They ended that like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really? See, I don't know.
That part's over with, but COVID will always be there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to explain to him, right? He's like, but when's it ever going to be gone?
It's like,
never.
Yeah.
It's kind of a virus now that's going to stick around. And I already have like 5 people in the last 3 days that have got COVID again.
Really? Yeah. Did they get it again, or they hadn't had it yet? 2 of them, or 3 of them, 4 of them actually, because there's one that's in the same family. That one, yeah, those 4 already had it before. Really?
Yeah. So they got it a second time. I think one of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Mitch Marner, got it twice in 3 weeks. I heard.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't even pay attention to too much. It's hard.
I don't either. I just try not to. I just COVID it out.
Yeah, but ultimately it makes its way back into.
My brother-in-law just recently died from it, so I don't take it lightly.
Really? Yeah, shit! Sorry to hear that.
In January.
How old is he?
44.
Really? Yeah. So that's your wife's brother?
My sister's husband.
Oh, no way.
He's the one that met The Rock that time with us.
How did that go? How was that? Like he was just sick?
He wasn't vaccinated. He was an anti-vaxxer because of what he read on Facebook and stuff, and he was overweight.
And he was kind of like susceptible more than the most.
Yeah, he's in the high-risk category, I guess.
Was it a long thing for him?
Not really. He caught it the day after I got it, really. And I got pretty sick for 2 days. And he was talking to me on the phone, and I was kind of like, how you doing? He's like, oh, not too bad. He's not sleeping. I was like, how the fuck are you not vaccinated?
And he just,
I'm vaccinated. I'm sick and you're not, right? And then one day he just
went down to the
hospital, and they sent him home with a puffer and antibiotics. The next day he could barely even walk, my sister said. So she took him to the hospital, and they told him they had to put him in a ventilator. So he called my sister back up and said, come and get me out of this place. They want to put me in a coma.
Never.
They put him out, and a week later he was gone.
Basically. So it was like 2 weeks kind of thing from start to end? In January?
Yeah, it just happened.
Oh, wow.
He was one of my best friends for like way before I even met my sister. Like he used to tease me because he had a crush on my sister.
Really?
When we were friends. Then they started dating.
Sucks.
Yeah, so we were like really close. He was like my real brother. Like he actually sent me a message on Christmas. He's a really he's a big guy. He was in the laborers union for Luna. He's always one of those guys that after his brother had passed away a few years back, and he changed. So he's always one of those very emotional guys. He would say things to you that make you feel uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. You know, when a guy says, "Hey, I do love you." Bro.
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh, hey, yeah, you too."
Yeah. I know. I have one. Yeah.
So he sent me a message on Christmas. I was like, "Hey, Merry Christmas, brother," because guys talk to guys.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Merry Christmas to you. I just want to let you know that I love you, and I'm really grateful that you are my actual brother. That kind of
that's
message,
wild,
right?
though. Yeah,
like that kind of guy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And sure enough, he just passed away like right after that. So
damn, that sucks. Sorry to hear that.
Tough.
Yeah, crazy. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
It was really tough too because we had argued about getting him vaccinated.
Yeah, it would be a tough thing. That's like the divide it puts in people.
He said something. I still have his messages, and he just said, "You know what, Chris, I'm not gonna." He goes, "I don't want to argue with you. I don't want to fight with you about it. You have your stuff. I have mine." You can tell me one thing, I can come back with this other thing. Let's arguing about it because we could just go on forever about this. So I was just like, fine, I'll let it be.
Yeah, right. And that's like, what are you going to do?
My mom, I said, I'm worried if he gets it, he's going to die. And sure enough, he got it. He died, and I'm mad because I said it to my mom. I didn't say it to him. I should.
Well, what are you gonna do though? Like, it's like you don't want to. I
didn't want to argue. With him, so I didn't.
Honestly, like, that's the way it goes sometimes. I guess
it's pretty crazy. When he passed away, so they're from a pretty small town, 11,000 people in the town. They have a police force and everything, but he was such a good guy. Like he did charities and stuff like that. He was the kind of guy that was. Does people things for anybody. He would see something on Facebook or somebody's dog died, he'd go and bring a present to their house. Or he would just do things for people. He'd just see something at a store and think this person could need it, and he'd buy it for almost a complete someone he barely even knew. So when he passed away, I'd say 200 people. So he passed away on like a Wednesday night or Thursday night. Friday night, or 200 to 300 people showed up at his house.
Crazy.
They have a baseball diamond across the street from their house, and they had fireworks for hours. Because he was in the Mustangs too, and he raced cars. People came up with their cars and they did brake torts to the point you couldn't even like see your hand in front of you. You were covered. You had a mask on, and you're still like this because you couldn't breathe.
Yeah, crazy.
All the way down the street, and the police
watched.
Let it all go.
Yeah,
didn't care.
Yeah.
But the stupid thing is nobody was wearing a mask.
It's like the irony. It's like
you bunch of rednecks.
Right. Like that's just the world we live in. It's like
at his funeral, people were making fun of me for wearing a mask. You're wearing a mask. Yeah, I was like, at his funeral.
Yeah, like like seriously, just on principle.
It's a different mentality in the smaller towns. Like that's what he said to us too. Because my wife's a nurse, and she we had a conversation with him one day, and he was like, I don't see nobody dying from it. Blah blah blah. Well, they're a sheltered small town community. Don't see it, right?
You probably don't. Like
it's probably not even real. The news is just trying to scare us. And he was like that guy, right?
Yeah.
My wife's like, I'm at the hospital. I see it.
It's hard.
She was actually in tears on the phone when
that whole thing. Just even those conversations, it's like, and you respect everyone so much, and it's family. It's like the last thing you want to do is argue with.
Yeah. So the thing is too is because of COVID, because they weren't vaccinated. I didn't get to see them much in the last 2 weeks. Because they were kind of anti-vax or we were vaxxed, and
it's kind of weird. It's always just like
I don't know if we should be around them, and I'm scared to go around them because I have it and I don't know I have it, and I end up getting responsible for getting them sick. So we didn't really go around in my mom's area for almost 2 years. So
crazy. Wow.
My mom was vaccinated because she's very high risk.
Yeah. You think it's all done?
I don't know. As I said, I have 5 different people.
I know. I've seen a bunch of stuff. We're going to Montreal this weekend, and I was just reading a bunch of stuff how they're like. It's even to like refer to stuff you see, it's like feels like almost a mute point at this point, but it's like I saw a thing that they're going into like this 6th wave, and Montreal, Quebec has always been like on the first to close up, to do this, to keep it in the longest. We're like, fuck, do we have to wear a mask still this weekend? And it's like, I think they do because they're dropping it off as of April 1st, but like we're going to be the only, if that's the case, they're dropping their masks as of April 1st. We're going to be the only ones, like what it was like here when the first day it dropped. Like everyone was like, do I still wear?
I've been in the grocery store twice. I've been in the Shoppers Drug Mart once since mask drops, and all 3 times I was the only person in the place that didn't have a mask on.
Yeah, but I've seen,
am I doing something wrong?
I know. I've seen like more and more like, as like exponentially too, like that first day, like no one was not wearing a mask. Yeah. And then like as one person sees one person, it kind of like speeds the process up. So we have that, like me and Jade being in Ontario have that, like, okay, I don't feel weird. I don't feel like guilty going into places without it now.
It's amazing how fast you go back to being normal.
Yeah, but I'm like, fuck, we're going to be the first ones there not wearing it. So we're going to be those people on the first day not wearing it.
Because you speak English, and they're really
even more so. So I'm curious to see what that's going to be like, but we've already like gone back to normal. I mean, you just got to be reasonable.
Yeah, that's the thing is I had a couple of buddies want to go video golf this weekend.
Where?
I'm not sure.
Where do you guys usually go? Yeah.
We haven't used it. It's the first time we're going to do it. They booked it someplace.
The one that's really cool, and I haven't been, is the one at Factory. Oh.
I've seen people come out of the Factory.
Clubhouse.
I've seen people. Yeah, we're going to the Clubhouse.
That's awesome. You're going to have I haven't been, so I can't say, but like.
The guy's got COVID right now.
Oh, fuck.
And the messages today, the guy's like, today's Wednesday. You'll be all right by Saturday. I'll see you there. I don't care. I'm like, fuck. I don't think I'm there yet. Because if I don't go, if I get sick, it costs me a week of work, right?
Yeah. Totally.
You guys have jobs where you're going to get paid regardless if you go up to work or not. I don't have that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That though, side note is, I've seen and I've heard that place is just
that's
awesome.
where they're going at. The clubhouse is the name.
Should be
of the
really
place.
cool.
I know they got reservations. It's 10 o'clock this weekend, so we're supposed to go.
AM?
PM.
Ooh, that'll be a time.
Yeah, because it was the only one available.
Probably.
And we tried to book for next Saturday too, and they didn't have anything. The earliest one was 10 p.m. was the one when they opened again.
Crazy.
It must be a pretty busy place.
Yeah, it is. Like, again, because you can do a bunch of like virtual golf and golf, baseball, and I think all these other sports.
I've been there
too.
before, but not for the golf. Just like in the factory for my kids.
Same, yeah, and that's even pretty sweet in itself. But a pretty cool place. The clubhouse you'll have to let me know how it is. What else?
If we go.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if my wife's probably not gonna let me go now with those guys having COVID right now.
Well, it's kind of like.
Well, the one guy had it. He's already had it for 2 days, so his 5 days will be up on Saturday, I think. But the other one, he hasn't tested positive yet, but his whole family has. So I was like,
what are you delaying? You just delaying to set your days back, or hoping by the time you test, you're just negative already by then.
Yeah. So he's tested himself, so he hasn't showed up positive.
Oh, he's still been negative. Well, you never know then.
But he sent me a picture of him when he told me his daughter had it, and she was painting his nails, sitting on his lap. So I was like, I'm sure you got it.
Yeah, that's hard too, because it's like you're not gonna jump into that and not be a part of that stuff too. But
it was cool though, when I got it. I was the first one in my family to get it. So I just chilled in my room. So no one was allowed to come in. Mm-hmm. I would go downstairs and get some food and go right back upstairs type thing. And then my son tested positive 3 days later.
And you're like, come join the club.
Well, that's what he said. So he had a fever. So my wife tested him. And as soon as he got tested, he said, does that mean I can hug daddy now? And he ran upstairs and I was like, that was priceless.
Yeah, for sure.
He was happy he had COVID.
So
out of being scared because kids don't understand that they have COVID too. First thing he thought of was coming to see me. He doesn't see me in 2 days.
Yeah. No, for sure.
That was priceless. I'll take COVID over for that to happen.
For sure.
So.
What else? You got anything else that you had on the mind that you wanted to?
I can't think of it.
No, I don't know. There's nothing really. I don't know.
Now I do want to get that app. I think that app would be a good idea if I could get that going somehow.
You got to keep. Yeah, don't. I'll tell you.
So trainers could go on an app and be like, I'm going to train my clients boxing this week. Okay, here's my app. It's going to show me the combination. It's going to teach me how to do the combination. Teach me how to teach the combination.
Yeah.
Things to look for.
I think you got to, don't ever think that you shouldn't give anything out because it's all for free. Especially because of your stuff and how personal it can be too. I think the more stuff you can put out, it's only going to be better for you. I want to
put out Fix It Fridays.
Yeah.
So every Friday I'll put out okay, if your client does this is how you fix it. Or this is a drill to fix it.
Yeah, because you can start almost pitching it more to coaches.
Yeah.
Because you want those people reaching out to you saying hey, what do you mean by this? And you don't, that's probably more valuable.
I had a thing too at one point. I said, okay, just send me a video and I'll tell you what you're doing wrong. But then I was just I can't keep up with that.
Yeah.
I just can't keep up with
everyone's just going to start sending stuff.
Yeah. I had a couple crazy people too.
Yeah, probably. It's never mind. This is the last time I request any kind of video from anyone.
Yeah, one guy sent me a message. I couldn't even talk to him anymore after he said it to me. The one thing he said in the message was, I got to look for it. You and I both know it's 80% look and 20% skill to get to the UFC. And I was just like, you just diminished everything, all of my hard work.
Yeah, seriously.
You should be in the UFC because you have scary tattoos.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to message that back guy either.
And he's like, call me. You need to call me. I got to talk to you. And you're my reason I want to go to the UFC and all this stuff. And I was like, I just can't.
Yeah, there'll be that shit that comes with it.
That's what you actually believe. There's nothing I can do for you, right?
We got to you'd be a good person, obviously, but you ever see Joe's fight companions and stuff like that where I want to do a podcast where maybe some UFC experts, some fans, some no one to do with it, and just watch a UFC and have a podcast around it.
Yeah, and listen to the guys who don't know what they're talking about.
Well, no, you don't even listen. You almost just mute that, and it's you have kind of make up your own commentary.
That'd be interesting.
Would you be down to do something like that?
Yeah, it's funny too if you get some guys who don't really know what they're talking about to say things. And you get that. Yeah, my buddy, it's they have parties sometimes. Not a friend over, and some of the guys say the stupidest thing. What's that? karate or something.
Yeah, but that would be cool if there's like put this out there to you, like if there's a UFC that you see that you would enjoy being a part of that on, let me know and we'll set it up. And because it's like, because you'll know, like you know, that'd be a good one to sit and commentate or like whatever. It's more so like it's not commentating necessarily. It's just like listening to us watch a fight. You know, like what's going on, it's not like I'm not trying to provide any value. Like you will for sure, but mine. If you don't know it, it's just like a sports fan watching it. But if there's anything that like, if there's ever ones that come up in the future and you're like, fuck, that'd be a good one for four guys to sit down around and watch.
Poker nights too.
Yeah, that too. Why? You poker?
Oh, I love poker.
Okay.
I haven't played in a few years, but I was addicted. I had to ban myself from every online poker site there is.
Oh God, then you're good. We don't want guys like that.
No, I had to ban myself because I was an addict.
We normally do it. You know what we should do is like,
I just can't drink because I'll start calling me that bullshit. You know who I am?
Yeah. No, I don't need that up here. Yeah, but let's do that. Both of them. I've been wanting to do that like the fight podcast, but we've normally do the UFC nights or poker nights on UFC. So we'll just play here. But I got to start doing it. Maybe not on UFC or
I used to do that too. I used to have poker tournaments on the UFC. But I had a big poker table too.
Yeah, so did I, but I got rid of it because it was you couldn't fold it down. Like it was, I had a one with lights and everything. It was like a casino one. So it's like when it's not using, it's just sitting in the middle, like it's a pain in the ass. And like this is a sweet table, so I'll let's like keep your eye out for that. And then if even the next one that we do a UFC and if we or a poker and we don't do some sort of podcast, you definitely come for just the poker and watching.
I haven't played since before COVID.
We're all like, even if you have, it's pretty amateur. Like none of us are like.
I'm not like good. I haven't played in years.
Yeah, that's how it usually starts. That's what all the guys say that come and clean us out. It's like, yeah. I used to be a poker pro, but I haven't played in like 6 months.
Some of my buddies are less like, they just don't care about money and they drive me fucking nuts. Because they'll just keep calling you.
Yeah.
That pocket ace.
Wasted it on your like.
I went all in. And you're having a beer. You didn't even look at your cards yet. I call. I'm like, just fold. Just fold. No, I call. I'm like, all in. I call. I'm like, you haven't even looked at your cards yet. I just raised you $200 and you're calling me.
Yeah, but those guys, you just.
Then he beats me.
Then that's it. He beats you somehow.
Yeah, he beats me. I was like, you son of a bitch.
Okay. I don't know. We can wrap it up. We'll do that for sure. Keep that in mind. Next, because I'll let you be the judge of a good one to sit and commentate.
The 9th card's going to be sick, but I already have to go to my buddies for that one.
Who's fighting there? That's the next. Fights. What's the date today?
There's the 135 titles on the line on that one. So it's like there's an intern champ and a real champ.
Yeah.
So they're having the rematch on that one. So that card's pretty stacked.
I don't know. I'm sure then if I don't have anything, I might have a night of it.
Sterling, I think it's Sterling.
You guys always go to the same spot and watch it?
There's a group of us who kind of bounce between our little houses, but it's usually the same 4 or 5 guys that watch them together.
Nice.
It's good too because they're, like I said, they're cops and teachers and stuff like that. So they're not like
it's a little tamer.
Yeah, a little tamer than some of the other guys. And I think it's funny too. Some of their buddies will come up sometimes and they'll be like, "What's a rear naked choke feel like?" Anyway, all right, come here, throwing guys in chokes.
Cops. It's like, come on, can you sign this piece of paper before before I do this?
I'll teach them how to do it to each other.
Yeah, better that. I'll just have you guys play with each other.
This, and I'll do this, and I'll do that. Right?
Crazy.
So they do it instead of me doing it to them. Yeah. One guy was getting a little one night. One guy was getting a little goofy. Started kicking me in the leg, and my friends was like, "Don't kill him, Chris." And I was he was really drunk.
All you gotta do is kick him in his leg, and he won't be able to move for the next 3 months.
He was pretty drunk, and he kept telling me how he was this karate champion back in the day, and he trained with George St. Pierre. I mean, he met George St. Pierre once, but his story.
They're buddies now.
Trained with George St. Pierre. Then he started asking me a bunch of questions, and I was humoring him at fine, but then he just kept coming over and like, "How's this feel?" And he chopped me, kicked me in the leg, or this karate kick in the leg and stuff like that.
You're like, oh fuck, I don't want to have to do this.
I have to slap this guy.
Yeah,
eventually.
That's funny. Yeah. Okay. I think we're good. What time is it?
After 9.
It's fun because it just like goes by, right? Like it's so easy.
Give me on the training topic. I can go for hours on training topics.
Well, it's good. Like it's honestly,
I try to bite my tongue because it's so frustrating to me. Training, the world of striking to me, and the way coaches happen, and the things I see online and in real life, even just.
Do you ever have any urge?
Go on and on and on about things.
Do you ever have any urge to open your own spot?
I've always wanted my own spot. I always have. So it's just a matter of like, location.
When you say spot, is it like just somewhere where you can work out of, or do you have like a full
I'd like
program
to have
going?
My own. I'd like to own a gym. I can actually have real classes and real everything like that. So I was supposed to be an owner of Adrenaline like 3 different times.
Yeah.
That's a long story on that. So that was that's a pain in the ass there. So.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
And the thing is, I've dedicated almost my whole life to that gym, right?
Yeah.
So I've been teaching there for 16 years.
It's all not for nothing, though.
Yeah,
like
for 16 years, I've been putting it into building that business for them, right? So I kind of was like, those were my prime.
Lucky
years.
though, like not to discredit any of that, but lucky though, like what you have, you can like it's you. Mm-hmm. It's not like you rely on anything. Like
that's the thing too. That was my main reason for getting into the UFC. It was my goal to myself, but I always told myself, if I'm in the UFC, it's instant credit.
Yeah.
I can move to any city and anywhere in the world and get a job at any gym in the world, pretty much, right? Because
and then even more so if
that's your resume.
Yeah.
Like, you're hired.
But even more so if you can back it up with a solid, like as a teacher and stuff like that, it's like, again, you could open up your own spot or go to another spot or do anything. And like, it's who you are and what you bring, not necessarily what that gym or any gym has like made you in particular. Like
the thing is, having your own gym too is Adrenaline works because we have 10 different instructors.
Yeah.
So if I have my own gym, I'm the only instructor. I got to teach every single.
That's
class,
what I mean.
Right?
Like you,
you don't want to. You can't get rich trading time for money, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, totally at all. So
that's the issue with that, right? Whereas if I was like you guys, it's easier for fitness to do online training, right?
Yeah, and even
there was a way that I could like go online with a Zoom and watch.
But you will have to. You need to get
the UFC guy doing something and be like, okay, let's try this now. Let's try this through Zoom or type thing, right?
Maybe once, but I'm sure there's a limit to what's satisfying to you too. Like how long are you gonna be sitting in front and doing Zoom shit? And it's
like the new thing now is trainers, they use paddles.
Yeah,
you've probably seen Hominick use.
Yeah.
Look like ping pong
Yeah,
paddles. I told you, I want to use it for Jade, but they're great for hand speed. But for me, as a teacher, I can't feel your energy.
Yeah. Because
I can't feel it.
Yeah, that feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can tell by the way someone hits me if it was from the floor or not type thing. Mm-hmm. I would say that's why the thing that separates one athlete from another was as I say, their relationship to the earth. Mm-hmm. So all good athletes have a good relationship with the earth. Not that they're going out and hugging trees, but they know how to use the ground to push off of it and shift weight and feel like that, right? And I think that's what makes a difference is your relationship with the ground. But I can't feel that with the paddles. Right?
Yeah.
Although my shoulders are
appreciate it.
Use the paddles, I can't.
It's not as satisfying. You can't provide
proper feedback with the paddles.
Yeah.
I can hear bang, 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 crack, 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 no matter who's hitting it, right? It doesn't, I can't feel it.
Yeah.
Right? I need to feel the energy. I need to feel the floor connection, right? So I always tell people, you can't turn someone's light off if you didn't turn it on.
Yeah.
And so you're the cord. The floor is the plug and the head's the light. Right? Mm-hmm. You need a solid connection between the plug. You have to be the cord, right? So it has to be all connected. So I can't tell if it is with the paddle.
Yeah.
That's why I use my big focus mitts all the time, so I can feel everything.
Yeah. And that takes it that's sacrificing some of your own, just to get more of that.
So I can feel what's going on, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm addicted to training people, because it's like a puzzle to me. Mm-hmm. And everybody was like,
the epitome of fighting is too, right? Like just that whole
puzzle, and when people move and like the mechanics of things, I can look at something like, okay, let's try this now.
Just that constant motion.
It is, yeah.
That's probably not really in any other sport.
Yesterday I was teaching, there's a girl in class. She's a high level karate girl. And she trains at Adrenaline, and she was kicking, and the girl who was holding pads for her was just like, wow, she kicks her amazing. And I walked over and I said, we got to fix your kick. And they were both looking at me like, the hell are you talking about?
It's the best thing I got going for myself right
She's
now.
smashing the pads. So I taught her how to turn properly and how to swing her arm properly.
But that teacher could
hurt me after that. And the other girl was like, that's the last thing I needed for her to kick harder.
Well, yeah, and no.
Like that. Someone who's already at that high level that I walked over and took two things, and then like 2 minutes later was kicking almost double as hard as she already was.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I love doing, is taking especially someone who's already at a high level
Yeah,
making them way up
that
here,
much better.
just like
Yeah,
that, right?
you got to just keep throwing that shit out there for like on Instagram, and because what goes around comes around.
Yeah,
for
eventually, I guess it'll catch on, right? But that's weird. Like I have like 3,500 followers, I think, on Instagram.
Yeah,
I'll see some guy in his garage.
Yeah, but
Way overweight. Never
why
trained a day in
though,
his
right?
life.
Like it's a different.
Punching the bag, and he's got 50,000. I'm going, how the heck? TikTok was the same way.
It doesn't make sense.
TikTok, I posted videos for a year and a half. I had 100 followers. I posted one video that wasn't even in English of a little Chinese guy doing. It was all in Chinese. He was doing like a self-defense move on a guy, and then he walked up to the guy. And the guy slaps him in the face. It was funny. And it got 14 million views, and I went to like 38,000 followers.
like
it
2 makes days. No sense.
Well, I don't get this at all.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't even my video. And like I post my stuff for
original with good educational shit.
Yeah, I post this nonsense. I get 14 million views. I post my video teaching somebody how to throw a kick properly, and I get 200.
The right people will be attracted to it, I guess. All it takes is
algorithms and things, I guess, and how active you are, I guess. So
I guess
I just gotta start posting more of it. I guess.
I don't know. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thanks for coming. Yeah. I'll see you. Yeah, tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Like I'll let you know. What's tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Thursday.
It can be, however, I'm not.
You're at 11.
Yeah.
Book for right now.
I have a 9 to 10, so I can come after that. It'd be like 10:30.
10:30 works.
Okay, cool, awesome. Yeah, let me know the next UFC, and then we'll fucking.
Sounds good.